All right, welcome back to Don't Think, Just Charge. I'm Dave, he's Harvey, and today we're giving you another army review. It's the DAO Union. Let's get into it. Quick cut edit into this one, which is to say, for those of you who have been following us for the past year, thank you very much. We are now on Spotify. Woo! Very, very exciting. So if you prefer to get your podcast style content over there, please go and have a look. We are very excited to see how many of you are going to take up on that one. We have had people ask for it a few years ago. I think even Peram said, why aren't you doing it that style?
More recently than that as well. We must get a comment basically every month or so from someone asking about Spotify. And I've been telling them ever since, being like, we're planning it, we're thinking about it. It's finally here.
It's finally here. And for those of you listening on Spotify, welcome to our first Spotify episode. And if you're wondering, I have just found this. Where can I find more one-page rules content? We have a huge backlog for you over on YouTube. We are Don't Think, Just Charge. Go ahead, have a look. More good things coming your way if you like the green weird icon thing on your phones instead of the big red ones. So thank you very much for listening and watching, and on to the rest of the video. We're taking a little bit of a pause from our tournament pack review to bring you our first army review of 2026 and our first full army review of 3.5.1. For those of you who are watching this wondering, how did they come to this conclusion to do DAO Union? You're not in the Discord. Go jump into the Discord. We will put up silly polls, ask you for pictures of your minis, all that sort of stuff. But if you'd like to have some input on what we are putting out on this channel here, that's the best way of talking directly to us. Of course, you can get down in the comments on this video. We love to see what you guys have to say about our videos. And really, the biggest thing you can do for us, please, is subscribe to the channel. That would mean the world. Let's get into the review. So the DAO Union, we have got here aliens in the Sirius sector equipped with advanced weapons and drones. They rely on advanced ranged weaponry and mobility to keep enemies at bay, and that comes through with their army-wide rule. We've got the targeting visor. When this model shoots at enemies over 9 inches away, it gets +1 to hit rolls. That in itself is very powerful when you stack it up with all of the other rules that come in with the DAO. But if you're unfamiliar with this army entirely, you should be thinking, what is the shooting situation? Let's go and have a look. Now, we would usually take the time to go through the spell list here. I think we haven't actually spoken about this. I think we could probably skip over the spell list.
Yeah,
That's kind of my preference.
We can come back to it at the end, perhaps, so people don't.
Maybe, yeah. Yeah, we might come back to it at the end.
Heroes.
We'll get straight into the heroes, but that is somewhat telling, and we'll come on to exactly why now. Let's start with the Battlesuit Elite. This is a tough 6 hero, 150 points base. It's quality 4, defense 3. It's got flying, hero, targeting visor, and it's tough 6. So this is already going to be quite a chunky hero. The heroes in this army don't have any way of improving their toughness. You can't put them on bikes and the like. The Battlesuit Elite comes with 4 guns. It's got 2 suit bursts, 18-inch A1 rending shots, and 2 suit flamers, 12-inch A1 blast 3 reliable. It has got 4 attacks in melee at AP1, but as I said, targeting visor, we're focusing on +1 to hit when shooting over 9 inches away. What have we got at the core upgrades? Now, the weapon upgrades, we'll discuss the battlesuit upgrades in general, I think, when we come on to the battlesuits units. They are varied. They're a bit wacky. You can make them do some interesting things, but we'll focus for now on the auras. So what auras have we got for the Battlesuit Elite? We've got hit and run shooter aura, so moving 3 inches after shooting. Counter-attack aura, strike first when charged. Quite strange to see in a very ranged heavy army. We've got the targeting visor boost aura. I may call this TV as well whilst we're having this review. So if you hear me say TV, I'm not talking about your television. I'm talking about your targeting visor. And this just guarantees your +1 to hit when shooting. And ranged slayer aura. Now, that last one, Harvey, it's the big one, isn't it?
Yeah. So, yeah, it's worth noting that version 3.5 did overhaul all the auras in the game. So every army in the game now gets 5 auras. And the way that works is Tenno like roughly picked, okay, well, what is this army supposed to be good at? They should get a good aura for that. What's his army supposed to be bad at? We'll give him a bad aura for that. And it was all based on a poll done during the beta to see like, okay, which of these are most appealing to players and which aren't. So stuff like hit and run, I think, was valued quite highly. Range Slayer, stuff like that. So what you see here is because they don't have melee stuff. Normally they'd get an offensive one. I think it was like 1 offensive, 1 defensive, 1 utility, and something else, right? Like other bits and bobs, a boost aura and something else. And so what they've actually got here is they've got like a utility one in hit and run. They've got a defensive one in counter attack. They've got an offensive one in range slayer, and they've got TV boost. Now, obviously, this is a shooting army, right? DAO is based on Tau from Warhammer. So if you've ever played that over there, then you know that it's a shooting army. And range slayer is an amazing thing to see in that context.
Fantastic.
Yeah, if you've been watching our videos recently, then you know we've been talking a lot about like tough 12 metas. Tough recently got a pretty big buff. It's a lot cheaper than it used to be. Or I say a lot, right? Like 30 points here and there, right? But it really adds up over the course of an army. Yeah, and it's brought some titans down to the point where you can run at them as well, which is really important. But the point here is that there's going to be a lot more tough 3+ in your game because it's all a lot cheaper. So not only is this a great thing to see anyway in the context of like 3.4 OPR, but +2 AP is a lot of AP. And it's really, really valuable because most of the time the things you're shooting with Def 2 up are going to have tough. That's just roughly how the game works. It's basically just robot legions that have the ability to get Def 2 without having some sort of tough. And then everything else is going to be kind of tough 3 or better. Defense 3 or better. So it's really nice because it's conditional on tough, but really tough is very, very highly correlated with defense. So you're basically getting a little discount on 2 AP here. And yeah, it can really, really push some of the shooting in this army to AP4 pretty easily. Now, in terms of the actual Battlesuit Elite, this guy's weird. He's tough 6. Which normally kind of immediately should give you the ick, basically, right? Like you see a hero, you see tough 6.
It really does.
Yeah,
absolutely icks me out.
They're just very expensive for what they do, and like if you treat them just like a monster, then it's kind of fine. But if you start trying to put them into units, all of a sudden you're paying like 200 points for this thing, and it kind of gets kind of silly, especially since the things you're slots get into. Yeah, it's just a lot of points. Now I will say that the melee profile of this guy is kind of okay. In a kind of hilarious way. If TV wasn't there, the army rider rule, you could actually look into it because it gets 8 attacks, half all with AP1, half with rending, goes up to a 2-up defense. Right, it's kind of like a silly little profile. But yeah, this is basically just a battle suit, but with twice as many guns and twice as much tough and the ability to have auras. Around the time of the beta, there was a lot of talk about just putting a Battlesuit Elite in a unit of battle suits with ambush and give them range slayer aura and coming down and blowing up units. I mean, that's a 700-point unit if it doesn't blow things up when what you're doing. But I don't really see a use for this guy in the army. I think most of the time I put him in, I've basically immediately taken him out. Or he's kind of like a weird point filler in that, like, maybe I've got a unit of battle suits and I'm like, well, maybe an extra 200 points spent on this. Maybe it'll give me some new weapon profiles that the rest of them don't have, so I can do a bit more split firing. I don't know. It doesn't really gel with me. I think flying is one of those things that's not as useful on this unit as it is on other units. So it ends up being a bit of a point tax.
Flying is very useful on melee units.
Yeah.
And given that we've kind of started this all by talking about what a shooting army DAO is, that just, it doesn't add as much value as you want it to. In the base game, it's the most relevant when you're going for an objective burst in round 4. But that means you've got 3 rounds of it being not as useful. It is one of the things that kind of puts me off of the Battlesuit Elite here as well. But
I think
go on.
As flying is really useful with fast. It opens up lots and lots of objective capturing things, which this style of unit actually kind of would like, because you can sit at the back, do lots of shooting, slowly move your way up the map, and then be threatening 3 or 4 points at the end of the map, because flying plus fast would let you do that. Now, you can kind of do that with hit and run shooter aura-ish. You're kind of fast. You're not really fast when it comes to it. So Yeah, they can probably leave this guy at home. If you want to do the hit and run shooter thing, then he is your only option for it in the army. And it is a fun rule. I think oftentimes it's not very useful. It can be super, super useful depending on the matchup. But it's one of those things where it's like, well, I could spend 15 points to get hit and run, or I could just spend like an extra 10 and then get like TV boost, which guarantees my +1, which is more valuable than hit and run shooter. Or I could just go all the way up to range slayer and actually put out some DPS. So
I think the Battlesuit Elite for me sits at an awkward spot because at 2,000 points, the rest of the army is so great that I just think this guy doesn't meet the cut. If I want high output, I'll go elsewhere, as we'll come on to. If I want auras, the Grunt Leader is a 25-point base hero. So he's incredibly cheap to get my auras out. I've been thinking about where I would use this guy, and where I would use him is at 3,000 points if you know that your mates love a big fatty. We've been talking about Titans, these tough 18 beasties coming down into the more grounded regions of the game. 3,000 points, you're going to see a lot of them, I think, nowadays. Now, that's where that 700-point Death Star unit could really shine. That's where if you have the Battlesuit Elite, a double squad of battlesuits, all loaded up with suit fuses and so on, you give them range slayer aura. I'll come on to precision spotters in a minute, but you pile them up with all of this anti-tough stuff, come down, you pick your opponent's big nasty bio titan if it's alien hives, and you detonate it in the beginning of round 2. That's where you're going to, I think, find the value for the Battlesuit Elite, where that 700 points is not so much of a drawback. That's where I think the Battlesuit Elite sits.
Yeah, this is also our first example of the army-wide, the army weapon rule as well, decimate. So it's worth noting that decimate it gets plus, as you scroll down, it's there on the second bottom gun.
That's it, yeah.
Yeah. So it ignores cover, and against units where most models have def 2 to def 3, it gains +2 AP. So that in combination with range slayer means you get AP 4 against things that are def 2 and def 3 and tough 3. So basically an ultimate tank killer, goes straight to 4. I think it is worth mentioning though, obviously with the stuff all on the guns, they do make for quite nice anti-air pieces. So you could go like Battlesuit Elite and Battlesuits, and that'll deal with most aircraft, which is nice enough.
Yeah.
If you're living in a world where lots of aircraft are kicking around and kicking your ass, then this is basically your go-to answer. You could
also relevant for 3K.
Yeah,
and you can take the big walkers as well. So the Battlesuit Elite, it's a bit of a strange one, but there is a spot for it, I think. It's just at the forefront of our mind where we're thinking about 2,000 points, maybe more than 3. It's going to be left behind. Now, moving on to the Grunt Leader, this is as I've said already, a very cheap unit. 5, Qual 5, Defense 4, Hero, Targeting Visor, Tough 3. It's got good shot. Now, we're going to see good shot on the infantry and the drones in this army. This model gets +1 to hit rolls when shooting. What does that mean? It means your quality 5 unit gets to hit on quality 3+ with its hit rolls before you bring in something else, which is quite core to the DAO army. Let's talk about Precision Spotter. Then I think let's just have a general chat at this stage about bumping shooting quality up very, very high, but morale staying low from a game design perspective, because I think this is something I would like to talk about. It was very, very much a hot topic through beta. So first of all, let's talk about Precision Spotter. Now, this is something that you'll see dotted through so many of the units, the ability to take one or more of these special rules. You get the Spotter Drone, which gives you Precision Spotter. It's 15 points, which is buffed from version 3.4. Once per activation, pick an enemy unit within 36 inches and in line of sight of this model. Roll a die on a 4-up, put a marker on it. Friendly units can remove markers to get +X to hit, where +X is the number of markers removed. So they're stackable, which is important to think about as well. What that means is the Grunt Leader can give himself and its unit the ability to hit on 2+. That is something that is very, very relevant. You get the ability to take one of these on most of your units, I think, that aren't, including some vehicles as well. You don't get on gun drones and sniper drones, I think.
No.
We'll come on to the Spotter Squad where you can get more than one on the unit. That means your shooting is even better. It's a 4-up, it's unreliable. that 4-up is a fickle thing, but when you get quite a few of these out, you really take the edge off of that uncertainty, and that is something I think that strongly lends the DAO army identity.
Yep.
What are your thoughts on the power of it, though?
Yeah, so I mean, if you've watched our previous videos, perhaps the Orcs Marauder one, you will know that it's very potent doing stuff like Good Shot, because quality is 3 things. Quality is morale checks, quality is your shooting, and quality is your melee. And when you pay for quality, you pay for all 3 of those. Now, Good Shot is basically like saying, okay, well, how about if you only paid for the shooting part of that?
Yeah.
Which, if you're going for a DAO shooting list, then great, because really, if they start getting shot at, like, yeah, they're 4, but most things in the game have got AP1, that's Def 5, and you know, when you start losing models in this game, you're basically dead. So quality is actually quite low value as a stat, but shooting is great to have. So Good Shot gives you that, and Target Advisor is obviously the exact same thing, and then Precision Spotter is also the exact same thing. So really, you have a +3 to hit just with those 3 rules, and obviously one of them's a 50-50 and one of them's conditional. But all of a sudden, you're like, okay, well, actually, now I'm paying for quality 5. And I'm getting quality 2 as a shooting. And I think also, I don't know how it works behind the scenes, but quality costs more and more the more you've got of it. Like quality 2 is more expensive than quality 3 was from quality 4 to quality 5, right? Like it's a curve. Same with defense. And so any amount of mitigation you've got over that is great, because most of these things are costed assuming an average unit, right? Like a 4-4 going to a 3-4, right? Not a 5-4 going to a 2-4, like, which is basically so yeah, very, very potent stacking buffs here.
I think as well, to say that loudly again, it's not just that we're gaining +1 once, where the cost might be relatively flat and proportionate. It's that we are, for 15 points, gaining the opportunity to get multiple pluses to hit that would be so much more expensive if this was just simply gain +1 to hit or gain +1 quality. Like these abilities can end up being very, very cost effective for the massive swing in quality increase that you're getting. There are ways that you can just overwhelm your opponents with middling AP dice or very good AP dice if it's Range Slayer Aura, and that can just absolutely detonate people. Now,
Harvey, another thing about Precision Spotter as well is if you have a bunch of money unit, which we'll see soon, you can slow roll them, right? It's not, you must do them all at the same time. You can go like, okay, I'll try that on a 4-up, I'll try that on a 4-up. And in a world where you're already on a 3-up, you only need 1 marker to get to a 2-up. So you can go like, I'll try on him, I'll try on him, I'll try on him. And then all of a sudden, you've not only set up your unit, but you've also set up the next unit you're going to activate, which is very important.
Exactly.
Outside of that, the Grunt Leader, Fortified Aura is something we've not seen yet, right? So that's the other aura that they have. It's AP -1, which I'm not sure they've got a massive use for, especially coming off the back of this guy. I think this would have made more sense in the Battlesuit Elite, but Hit Run Aura went over there instead, because you could kind of see like a tankier Battlesuit Elite build. You could put this guy in a unit of shotguns and go from there. But really, this is what we want to see really when we see a hero. He is 25 points. He's basically as cheap as it gets. He's quality 5 Def 4. Like, sure, if he was Def 6, he'd probably be cheaper. But he has a blast weapon by default, which is the cheapest one. He obviously all the conditional stuff costs less than normal. For 25 points, you're getting a warm body, which is good. But you're also getting a buff stick. You're also getting something that can carry Precision Spotter. And if you scroll down to the bottom, he also can take a scout upgrade, which we'll perhaps touch on a bit more later. I've got a list with them in. But effectively what this means is you can have a stall scout, i.e. you put down this guy as a scout, and then your opponent has to put their scout down first, which is really, really important for this list because you don't want to get charged. So overall, the Grunt Leader is to DAO what the company leader is to HDF, basically, right? This guy is really great, and wherever you can find a place to put him in, slot him in. And it goes to show how cheap he is, because whenever you put range weapons on him, it costs you a bomb, right? You're like, oh my god, I've got to spend 15 points to give him a pistol, and then I want to give him a carbine. I've got to spend 30 points. I've doubled the cost of the unit. It feels really bad clicking those points when he's just 25 base, which is kind of funny. But yeah, absolutely great unit. In the most recent TTS tournament we ran, I was actually running some of these guys. This is in 3.4 actually, and I just ran 2 of them just naked, and they were great.
Bear dudes
so
on
much
their
work
own.
just existed. Yeah. At one point, I had one of them charge like a big orc tank. It was
I
on.
got
It was
to
on
watch
like 8
this.
wounds or something like this, and I hit it with the blast weapon, and he rolled a 1, and then it fled off the map. It was very
Yeah.
heroic. But yeah, these guys are great.
This is a really good point to talk about one of the big downsides to DAO that I think is good design, frankly, from a more, I don't know, from a more macro level. No one in this list, I think, has any way of guessing a morale check to be better than 4+.
No,
Yeah,
the only
not a
way is actually
single
through the
thing.
spell list, which you would never do anyway. Which is actually something we haven't touched on either. The caster
haven't,
2
yeah.
is obviously on this guy as well. Yeah, I mean, we'll come back to the spell list at the very end of this video. But
Yeah.
it's not something we're really looking to invest in, I don't think.
Yeah, it's not. And so these guys, when you hit them, they're fragile. DAO in
Yeah.
general, they are very fragile. You do have some Def 2 up in the vehicles, but they will fragment and then they'll run away because you're not guessing the morale. It's that aspect of paying an isolation for good shot, targeting visor, and precision spotters. Very, very efficient for your shooting output, but not great for if you're going to take hits. So DAO themselves, important I think to say at this point in the video, are going to be skill intensive. Yeah. If you are struggling with DAO, consider if you're being overly aggressive. Consider if in the points where you're taking your movement on the board, you're opening yourself up to being charged in ways that you weren't thinking about and you didn't want. Have you properly assessed your opponent's list? Are you in the right position with your units? Because if you're not, and you get shot at when you didn't want to, charged when you didn't want to, your guys aren't going to stay around for very long a lot of the time. It is something that people clamored about as a drawback for DAO in beta, and thankfully it wasn't touched because I think this is an important design drawback to have. And then from the side of thinking, how is my DAO army going to be really, really good? You're saving on points a little bit as well. So there is all of these extra sort of bonuses to what seems like an initial drawback. So yeah, the Grunt Leader, very, very good. Let's go and get into the security grunts and the rest of the core unit. So the security grunts, another new unit for 3.5. 105 points gets you 5 bodies. Qual 5, Def 4 up, good shot, targeting visor. We've gone through those before. They've got pulse shotguns, 12 inches, A2, AP1. Now, 105 points, what a great unit that is to start with. But then you get into the upgrades. The DAO core units get the ability to add drones to their unit. They're not actually additional models that you put onto the unit, they are just upgrades, but for those of you with cute minis, go ahead and stick them on anyway. What do you get for them? You can get a gun drone, which gives you a one-time A2 18-inch rending shot. You can get a recon grown. Oh dear, let's not make that mistake. A recon drone, which gives you ambush beacons, so you can ambush in next to the unit and ignore restrictions. You've got an inhibitor drone, which we're going to talk a lot about. This one gives you melee shrouding aura, -3 inches when being charged. And you've got a shield drone for stealth aura for that -1 to hit when being shot from over 9 inches away. I'm going to keep on going on about the security grunts, and I'll pass over to Harvey to talk about the strength of these upgrades. We've got replace 1 pulse shotgun. You've got a typical range of things here. Bump it to 18 inches A2. Have a single shot AP4 gun, a flamer, fusion carbine, 18 inches AP4 deadly 3-shot. You can replace one of the pulse shotguns with a sergeant to give it a pistol and sword. You can then replace the sword with a more AP thing. I'm not doing that. I'm keeping them shooting. But one of the things that made these guys particularly interesting is you can upgrade everyone with +1 defense rolls. So these guys become effectively a 3-3. That, plus the other stuff, is really very good. Now, Harvey, talk to us about the security grunts. And talk to us about those upgrades and those drones.
Yeah, so the security grunts are, like you said, a new unit in 3.5. They're new, kind of. So tactical grunts had these options before. The only thing they didn't have was the shielded upgrade. So these guys got split out, had some of the options removed, and got shields and shotguns were taken away from tactical grunts. Now, what makes this unit so great is basically exactly what I just said, right? Like they are now Def 3 up, which is really nice. Shotguns have always been a really, really efficient thing to have right? A2, AP1 is good. It's a very, very solid profile. 3/3s are very reliable. Having melee shrouding aura combined with shotgun is really good because most things charge 12 inches and melee shrouding minuses 3 off that, so you can shoot them without them charging you back. You'll be really surprised how bad that feels to play against until you play against it. When it's just like, if you're playing an all melee army, you haven't brought it fast, you'll constantly measure measurements and they'll go like, oh no, sorry, I have a melee shrouding aura. And you go like, oh brilliant, I've got to just walk towards you for the second turn.
Yeah.
It's worth noting that minusing distance from your opponents is way better than adding distance to you. So if these guys were fast, then that would be nowhere near as good as melee shrouding, because melee shrouding means that you can be closer to them, which means that they control less space, which means that you can be on the objective and do things you wouldn't be able to do otherwise. So very, very good. But yeah, this is just a great unit to have around. It's a really, really reliable thing to stick in an army, and for only 220 points, you get 10 of them with shotguns. You get them their defense upgrade, and they're just really reliable. It's a nice, cheap unit. It does exactly what it needs to do, and hitting on 3-ups always feels good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm strongly in the camp of always giving these guys melee shrouding aura. And anyone really that you can get on in this army, as we'll come on to, it is so powerful and so valuable when you're in an all shooting army that is fragile in melee, of just meaning that, kapow, I get to put myself 9.5 inches away from your big scary whatever unit and you can't touch me for 2 rounds. That's just fantastic. So yeah, security grunts are a very strong start to the core units in our DAO army. We're going to move away from being quite so secure and be a bit more tactical with the tactical grunts. They are 5 of them, 5/4s, good shot targeting visor, 115 points. These guys are a bit more long range. They come with 5 pulse rifles, 30-inch A1 AP1. Now, I am almost always bidding those off to get the pulse rifles replaced with pulse carbines. 18 inches for 2 attacks with AP1, only 25 points to get everyone up to this weapon profile is pretty damn huge, because we'll come on to how much you can just lean into it, double them up, and be a threat on the board, covering a large spot as we come into the army list building. You can replace one of the pulse rifles before you do the pulse carbine upgrade with things we've seen before: burst carbine, flamer, plasma rifle, fusion carbine. You can also get turrets in the tactical squad. So you've got a support turret with a missile pod, which is 30 inches A2, decimate and unstoppable. Or a support turret with smart missiles, 30 inches, 3 attacks, AP1 indirect, but that's 55 points and very expensive. You've got the sergeant upgrades again, and then you've got 3 of the drone upgrades here. It's just precision spotter, stealth aura, and the gun drone. So these guys do not have the melee shrouding aura, but the tactical grunts are still good.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately for the tactical grunts, they are just worse versions of the spotter squads, in my opinion. What you trade off between these two, they get basically the same stuff, except the spotter squad gets more. Tactical grunts have def 4 and the spotter squad have def 5, but the spotter squad have scout. So that's basically what you're trading off here. They're basically doing the same stuff if you ignore the weapon upgrades. Most of the time you're just going pulse carbines on these guys, and then the spotter squad have more options for drones and the like. So I think, unfortunately, for the tactical grunts, I'm basically never taking them unless I have a really good reason to not want scout. Now that might be a point consideration. Maybe I can't afford the 5-point upgrade on my Grunt Leader to get scout and give it the auras I want. So maybe I'll stick it on these guys instead. But I think most of the time you're just probably taking a pass on these guys. Def 4 is in that weird spot where it's like, yes, obviously it's better than Def 5, but most of the time when things are shooting you or killing you, they're probably just going to punch through that Def 4 anyway. And you lose a lot of value when they're getting shot at, because they're a multi-model unit, tough one. So I just value Def a lot less. It's like if they activate and point towards these things, they probably die. So let's just accept that and just go like, well, Def doesn't matter. And actually having access to scout would be better. Some cute things you can do with these guys. Obviously, Range Slayer aura is really nice. You can stick a Range Slayer aura Grunt Leader in a 5 tactical grunts if you really wanted to. It makes for quite a cheap, high AP shooting unit that can just like threaten things. It's quite an annoying unit because it's got a small footprint as well. You can hide it around the edge of buildings and pop it out at the end of turns, and it can kill APCs and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, the big thing that these guys benefit from having a Grunt Leader as well is that because these guys can get access to 1 precision spotter, the Grunt Leader can take the other one, and then you've got two 50/50s to get a +1, which most of the time, well, 75% of the time, you're going to get one of them off.
75% of the time it works every time.
Every time. 75% of the time you're shooting on a 2+, which is quite nice. But yes, as I said, though, I think you're probably glazing over these guys and heading straight towards the spot squads. I think, unfortunately, for this tactical grunts, once upon a time they may have made sense, but now security grunts exist. They've taken up the kind of close range, more durable slot, and the spotters take up the longer range, kill things slot, which leaves tactical grunts as like a weird middle ground, which I don't think you really need the weird middle ground.
They're the more rounded one, I think, and it's a shame that they haven't got the melee Shrouding Aura. As one of their upgrades, it might make them a bit more relevant, but I agree with you. When you are building at 2k, especially, you are a bit more restricted, and so you're looking for your specialized units. And when you're building at 3k, you're thinking big, blammo, and DAO have got some exciting kaiju sort of shit going on down there. So tactical grunts are like one of the last things I'm looking at. I'll be interested to kind of talk to you about the context of what units I am and I'm not taking when we come onto the drones later. But for now, let's go on to the all-singing, all-dancing golden child of the DAO. It is the Spotter Squad. Don't let the stat line trick you here. These guys are fantastic. 140 points gets you 5/5/5s. 5/5/5. What do they have, these 5/5/5s? They've got good shot, targeting visor. We've been here before. They've got scout, as Harvey's mentioned, which, you know, in recent times, I think has shot up in value, especially with things like the tournament packs. They come already loaded with 5 pulse carbines, 18 inches, 2 attacks, AP1. They can get sniper upgrades if you really want to take them, which is kind of cute. And then you can do things by replacing those scoped rifles. They've got loads of drone upgrades, including a new one, which I'll come on to. But the first thing, on top of being scout units that these guys are very exciting for, is that they don't have upgrade one model with a precision spotter. They have upgrade any model with. Oh, yeah. Now, if you want to, you can just go gung-ho, 75 points, 5 precision spotters on your scout unit. First activation of these guys, throw them everywhere. When we're building, we end up taking 2 or 3 typically with these guys, but that is very valuable. Yep. Just quickly to come on to the last drone before I pass over to Harvey. 2 extra drones. 2, not just one. There's 2 additional ones. Woo! We've got the familiar stuff. Melee Shrouding Aura being really the one that I'm most excited by there, but these last 2 they're not irrelevant. The last one's the biggest one. The first one is an accelerator drone, which increases your shooting range in an aura by 6 inches. If you're putting a Grunt Leader in here, remember it's an aura, that leader will get the benefit of this. But what you've got as well is a piercing shooter mark. So you're not rolling a dice for it like in Rebel Guerrillas with their spotters, their piercing spotters. You, once per activation, pick an enemy unit within 18 inches, don't need line of sight. Friendly unit, get AP +1 when shooting against it the next time that would apply. Oddly enough, this is a shooting unit. This is something that is playing at 18 inches with its pulse carbines. So if you've got a piercing shooter mark in this unit here for 55 points, you're at AP2, which is very, very scary.
Yeah, once again, that kind of nice sweet spot of AP2. So things to note here. So melee shrouding is really good. It counts as ambush to an extent. In ambush, you have to deploy more than 12 inches away. -3 is then not enough.
More than 9 inches away.
9 inches away, 9 inches away, add the extra 3, 12 inches, but you got to be more than 9 inches away, so it's 12.1, and then they can't charge. Now, obviously, that's countered by stuff like musicians in Age of Fantasy and just fast in general, or elvish traits and stuff like that. But it's still really, really good for that reason. And also, as mentioned before, it lets you be further up the board, which is always nice. So what else you do have here that's new? Increased shooting range. So this is a really interesting one if you're not interested in taking piercing mark, because obviously there's anti-synergy there. You're increasing your shooting range by 6 inches, but then you can't use the mark you've just bought because the mark is 18 inches, so you end up walking forwards anyway. So just a word of caution there. If you're interested in taking the piercing shooting mark, don't take both of those together. I think most of the time I'm taking melee shrouding plus increased shooting range, or melee shrouding plus piercing shooting mark.
Yeah.
I think that's the 2 main setups for this thing. But otherwise, for me, I'm basically always doubling these guys up. There's a certain mass of shooting you need to be able to guarantee to kill stuff. If you take a spotter squad, if you double it up, if you give it piercing shooting mark, give it melee shrouding aura, give it 2 precision spotters, grunt leader with a gun, precision spotter on him, range slayer, I think it's 500 points for a scouting unit that it basically kills every single tough unit in the game.
Basically
so
wipes
any
them
tough
out.
12, even if it's got regen, it basically just dies because it's all AP4 at that point. Which is a very, very scary unit to come against because scout means they get to put it where they want to put it. Against an all melee army, you're basically not touching these guys the first 2 rounds of the game because they can just measure things out. By which point they probably killed your 2 biggest threats, which is no good. And against a ranged army, you can pick the side of the formation that they're weakest on. And you can also do stuff like, if you're going first, just detonate the biggest threat to them. And then they have to activate and kill a unit that's already activated. And then you've kind of got the momentum advantage. So very, very, very potent unit. There's one reason not to take them, as mentioned before, over the tactical grunts. And that's it for transports. If you're looking to put your things in transports, then obviously scout is no good. So at that point, you take the tactical grunts, which is definitely a viable strategy. The transports in DAO are pretty good.
Yeah, and we'll come on to it. You're a big fan of those transports.
Yeah.
Cool. We're going to move on to the things I get most excited about for 2 entries before we come back down to earth. These are the tough 3 guys. Big fan of them always. First up, we've got the stealth suits. This is a unit of 3 tough 3s. They're 4/4s, 225 points. They've got targeting visor, tough 3, as I've mentioned. No good shot. Important to remember that you don't get good shot on your battle suits. But these ones have got ambush and stealth. They come loaded out with 3 rapid burst carbines. These are 4 attacks with rending at 18 inches. Very nicely, though, you can replace any of those for 10 points with a fusion carbine. That 18-inch A1 AP4 deadly 3 gun. We've got some more drone-like effects here. You can get ambush beacon. You can get the piercing shooting mark, which we've talked about. And you've got 1 spotting laser for precision spotter. And optionally, you can make them flying. So we don't have that Battlesuit Elite drawback as we start out. Now, me personally, when I'm sticking a unit of this in my army, I'm probably bringing 1 of them all loaded out with fusion carbines and a single spotting laser. That is not to say, though, that just bringing 3 of them as they are now with the piercing shooter mark isn't effective. Because if you do that and get the precision spotters in from another unit, you can still be hitting on 2-ups with 12 attacks AP1 and rending, which can be pretty sweet.
Yeah, this unit kind of falls into it's very similar to the spotter squad for what it wants to do. So you can give it triple fusion carbines and you can double it up to 500 points ish, and you can roll from there. I think there's been like 560 or something like that if once you had the laser, maybe less than that, 540 or something. So it feels a very similar slot to the spotter squad, except it comes in on round 2, which is not as good. And so that makes it very much more difficult to justify, I suppose. I think the thing about DAO is you're just basically very squishy. And so investing in some middling, like 4/4 tough 3 thing, if you only take these in sets of 3, then there's a good chance they just don't kill their targets, right? Like you can get them shoot on 2-up, hit 3 times, wipe out another set of tough 3 units, right? Brilliant, they've paid for themselves, great. But if your opponent doesn't have those kind of units, or doesn't have like tough 6 and only has tough 12, then these guys might come down, shoot the tough 12 guy, do 6 wounds, 9 wounds, or whatever, like if you get lucky. But that might be all they do, and then they're kind of like floating around, and because of targeted visor, they want to stay far away, which makes them harder to play objectives as they then move on throughout the game. They're just missing that first turn that spotters have, because really the thing about shooting is range is a tool you need to use, right? So having 18-inch range shooting, if you use it round 1, then you've done something melee can't do. If you only use it from round 2, 3, 4 onwards, you're basically a fast unit without routing, right? And obviously the game goes on, there are some more uses for range because you can pick your targets and you combine stuff. But I find the ambush on these guys lets them down slightly, but I also don't know if I'd take them if they weren't ambushed, so it's a very weird thing. You could find a use for these guys in a transport and send them up the board that way so they can get in early. It's not a bad idea. But
they're good too.
Just
are
just
a bit weird
unit. I feel like for 225 points in their base form, they represent basically the only ambush in the list between this and the heavy stealth suit.
Well, you've got the option upgrade for the battle.
Oh, sorry, of course. Yeah, you got the other suits that have got those guys as well. But like, I think the only reasonable ambush in the list is these guys. So if you're looking for ambush and you're playing base OPR, then I can definitely see a use for these guys.
Yeah.
I think if you're talking tournament packs, then I'm less inclined to take this. Or if I'm taking it, I'm probably not ambushing them. I'm probably just deploying them normally, just so they can immediately take space and be useful in a progressive style mission, and just be an activation on the board to do stuff with.
You are now drilling into something which I think is quite core to the strength of DAO. Pre 3.5, I really struggled with DAO because, especially in the base game, it's such an important trait to be able to control space. And you control space with threat. How do you threaten things? Either by killing them or resisting an attack to survive and take points, and then maybe doing more killing afterwards. So custodians, my boys, are very resilient. They don't output much. And then pre 3.5 DAO output a lot in shooting, but crumbled. And the difficulty with that is that, yes, you can output a lot of damage by shooting, but moving 6 inches a turn, you're not taking much ground. And by making rapid advances up the board, you are exposing yourself massively to just getting charged. Yeah. And as we said, these guys don't like being charged. I think really the inclusion of melee shrouding aura in DAO in 3.5 is what has catapulted them quite nicely to the top of the tier lists.
Actually already existed as well. That was actually...
Was it already on 3.4?
Yeah, melee shrouding already existed. Yeah, it was one of those things that was just around anyway.
Was it on
I think
the
it got
spotters?
I think so. Yeah. Because I mean, I played a list with 3.4.
Dave just
is in there.
So that's it.
Yeah. No, that's. But I think before it was like you take 2 spotting lasers and you roll them and you hope you shoot on a 2-up. Now they basically always shoot on a 2-up because of having TV on top of it. And one of the main things about shooting that it struggles with is if you don't kill the unit you're shooting, there's a good chance you still lose to it in combat.
Yeah.
So you need to kill things, right? And it's also really hard to continue the game if you can't split target as shooting, because you'll like shoot one unit and it lives, and then you have to commit another round of shooting to it. And because you're losing resources then go on, you really need split shot to be able to clean up those small units, which obviously the spotter squad struggles with, which the tactical grunts technically are better at because they've got better weapon options. But yeah, I think there's just like massive damage output and stuff like the reduced charge range thing, right? Which was there before, but because they now do more damage, it's more relevant. Because you can kind of like, you can trust that you're going to kill stuff as you move forwards and then make use of that. Whereas before it was like, oh, I shoot you and you've not quite died and I need to now back off despite having this aura, which didn't feel good.
Also, precision spotters coming down 10 points, coming down from 25 to 15. I think
enormous. Yeah, you can now take 2 precision spotters for 5 points more than you could take 1 before. And that's,
DAO,
50%.
They got a lot of little things that helped them a lot. Previously, I thought it was melee shrouding aura was another one of those little things, but I am wrong.
Piercing shooting, though, is.
Piercing shooting is one. But back to the stealth suits and the importance of not having melee shrouding. It's another thing that is keeping DAO at the top, and stealth suits not having access to it kind of deprioritizes them in a unit choice. That being said, in most of my lists, I still end up putting 3 of these and then 3 battle suits. I don't know if that's the best target to really put my points into, but I like them. They're fun. They are still good. They do still shoot very well.
One of the
let's
things
move
that
on.
stealth suits almost got in beta as well was evasive. So for a while, stealth applies to everything, just -1 to hit. And there was a small moment there where they had that, and that was really, really good. Unfortunately, stealth suits lost it, but the one we'll come into later, the heavy stealth suit still has it, which makes it a lot more preferable for the role that the stealth suits were trying to fill. Which is unfortunately with the old stealth suits.
So stealth suits, I love them. Not the best. Battle suits, a very confusing unit. I'm going to just take a bit of time here to talk through the way that the upgrades on this unit works, because that is really what is confusing. Battle suits, you get 3 of them. They're tough 3, 200 points. They are 4 3s, so we pipped into the natural defense 3 here. They're flying, targeting visor, and tough 3. Their loadout is 9 suit bursts. What does that mean? It means that each model has 3 suit bursts, and these are the 18-inch A1 rending guns. What can you do with this unit? Simple stuff and then the complex. The simple stuff is you can give them all ambush for 15 points. So, sticking with a Battlesuit Elite with ambush, you've got your big dudes flying around, dropping in, Death Starring. One of them can have one of the basic drones, gun drone, spotter drone for precision spotter, or shield drone for stealth. So no melee evasion here, no precision marker here. Precision marker, not precision tag. Basic things that you get out of a DAO unit. The bit that confuses so many people is this array of upgrades. At the top, we've got replace any suit bursts with one of two. Suit missiles, 30-inch range, A1 decimate unstoppable for 5 points. Suit plasma, 24 inches, one shot with AP4 for 15 points. I'm mentioning the points and lingering on it because it matters here. You have a separate option box. Replace one suit bursts with one of a suit flamer, which is a blast 3 reliable gun at 12 inches. Suit ion, an 18-inch AP1 blast 3 gun. A suit fuse, a 12-inch A1 AP4 deadly 3 gun, your fusion. Or a suit frag, 24 inches A1 blast 3 indirect. Note, there is no reliable on that. It's not a flamer. They're 15 points, 20 points, 20 points, and 30 points.
Yeah, another note about that box as well is it's just replace one. It's not one per model. So this is your kind of like sneaky way of getting your like 6 attacks on one unit. Thing that you see in other top 3 stuff. So you're not going to be rocking around with 6 attack each. It's just one of the units like that.
So this is another reason it's confusing that this box is higher up. I think that if this next box I'm going to come on to is at the top, it would make a bit more sense. And this box is any model may replace 2 suit bursts. Remember, they start with 3. So they start with 3 A1 attacks. Now you can replace 2 of those on any model with a suit flamer, which is the blast 3 reliable gun. I'm going to skip the next one and come back to it last. That's 5 points. A suit ion, that's that 18-inch AP1 blast 3. Again, no reliable, but AP1 at 18 inches is good. The fuse, the fusion gun, the 12-inch deadly 3 one, or the frag, the 24-inch blast 3 indirect. Those last 2 being 10 and 20 points, respectively. You can make this a melee thing and give it a plasma sword for 2 attacks AP1 rending and an energy shield, bumping them to defense 2 up for 5 points, which we'll talk about later. But it's this aspect now of how do you piece together these units? What does all of this mean? Any model can replace one of its A1 guns with any number of A1 guns. Any model can replace 2 of those A1 guns with a blast 3 or a deadly 3 gun. And one model can replace one more of those 1 attack guns with another one of those 3 damage guns. So you can get each model outputting 4 attacks with an A1 gun and a blast 3 gun or a deadly 3 gun, and one of those models outputting 6 damage worth of attacks by having 2 blast 3 guns, 2 deadly 3 guns, or 1 of each. It's a bit confusing and hodgepodge, but what it means is you get 2 guys with 4 shots and 1 guy with 6 shots. Now, coming on to why it's not always a good thing, I'm going to go straight back to the top and point out rounding here that if you replace one of these guns for 5 points and you replace all 9 of them, that is then 8. Whoa, Dave, how many points? 85 points? Quick math, check me.
45 points.
I was going to say 45 points as well.
Yeah, 5 times 9.
I went too high. 45 points. 45 points to replace a load of A1 guns with other A1 guns stings, but that's one of the things about rounding. Where I'm focusing my time is replacing the 2 suit bursts with a blast 3 and the additional 1 with another blast 3 gun. My favourite are the suit ions. That's a bit more cost effective. The long-winded way is that you get a very shooty unit. Sorry, that was the long-winded way of saying it. The short-winded way of saying it is you get one very shooty unit that's quite expensive, but you can ambush it in and make that Death Star that you were talking about.
Yeah, a big thing to note here is Battlesuit's quite good because they can split damage profile quite easily. Right, they can affect multiple units. So you can do a little bit of a Build-A-Bear thing. Many units in the game, you see a good option and you just click it until you can't click it anymore. Whereas Battlesuit, there's some consideration, right? Like you could go 1 18-inch A1 blast 3, another one replacing 2 suit bursts. So you have one guy dedicated to blast, and then the other guys could actually just leave their base weapons, or they could go the decimate upgrade, whatever they want. But then you can basically like shoot blasts at one unit and shoot a couple of shots at another unit, and that's quite good like morale shenanigans later on in the game. It's nice for taking care of like support style units, things that have got 3 models in it, like 2 shots of blast is going to kill that. Very, very efficient trade-ups. The other thing these guys can do is they can just be stealth suits. You just grab ambush and you grab 4 sets of Deadly 3, which is 1 more than the stealth suits could ever get. You have Def 3, so you're slightly more meant to be in the front line. Like, stealth suits are paying for stealth, but they're kind of teleporting in 18 inches away, so it's a bit of a weird situation for them. It's going to be very difficult for them to hit the target without also being in range of other stuff. And then these guys, you got a precision spotter on them, ambush, bunch of deadly. Play a very, very similar role, but can be a little bit closer. Just like on the edge of their targeting visor range, they can hit a few more units more effectively, and still get a little bit of split damage profile. They can come down with 4 AP 4 Deadly 3 guns, and on top of that, they still have 2 AP 1 ones as well. Sorry, A1 ones as well, just to fire off somewhere, or they can turn them into AP 4 ones and do a bit of split damage. Like just doing 1 AP 4 shot's quite nice because it triggers morale on lots of units and it can just pip things over the edge. There are lots of units in the game. I was saying this in the Discord before. There are lots of units in the game that can do 11 damage to Def 2. Right, you like kit them out fully, and you're like, oh my god, I've made an absolute world beater unit. This unit's going to absolutely destroy my enemy's tanks, and then it does 11 damage. You're like,
not 12.
Tiny little aspects, tiny little bits of AP4 is really nice. Chip is kind of huge in OPR, especially if you're running like a mixed army. So if you have shooting and melee loves things being reduced below half. Right, it turns the efficiency of charges through the roof. And if you can shoot things with just a little bit of AP4 before you get in, then you turn that 12 goal into a 10 goal, and 10 is much more reasonable. You turn it into an 8, and then all of a sudden you're only needing 2 wounds to knock it into morale, and so on. So stuff like this is really good. Obviously, charging is not really happening in DAO. There are a couple of units that can do it, but it's still quite nice. You kind of make this like Build-A-Bear style thing, which can be really good. It is only 12-inch range deadly instead of 18-inch, like the stealth suits, but that is kind of an advantage in itself because you're paying less for them then. It's 50% more expensive for 18-inch over 12 inches. So this can be a deadly option if you want to deal with it. And then because they're Def 3 and 9 wounds, they could live things, right? Def 3 is starting to reach that point where like, okay, they have AP 2, I'm actually still on 5 ups, which really isn't that bad. I'm not being reduced all the way back up to 6 up. Like at that point, then they need AP3, which is really rare, and then they have AP4, which is then an efficient shot into this. So Def 3 is really nice for that. But yeah, despite all those things, I'm not really taking battle suits. I think like you basically have to take the 2 suit burst upgrades, like the replace 2 with it, to get them up to 4 attacks, which is where you want to be for tough 3 units. And that is really good, but the options they have aren't that appealing, right? Like I see like a suit flamer and I see like, okay, well, it's reliable. That sounds good. But really I can basically get to reliable with TV and a spotting laser. The sword and shield is a bit of a meme pick. I've sent Dave a list earlier today with just an all melee DAO list. And I was like, look, it's discount custodians because that's a bit what it feels like. Everything's like Def 2 up. I don't actually think it's awful, right? Like there is no melee in the army. Having quality 4 does suck dick. But like, it's the only melee in the army, so maybe bringing one of these could actually be a nice little bit of tech. Either way, ions are 18-inch flamers, kind of, once you account for precision spotters and TV, right?
This is it, right? You can TV and spotter them into a 2-up.
So then it starts to feel kind of appealing, and then you're like, okay, well, suit fuses 12-inch range, okay, and then the last one is just the blast indirect, which you're never taking. Indirect doesn't suit the playstyle these guys want to be playing.
20 points.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, they're not, I don't know, battle suits are okay. I often find with DAO, I'm spending all my points on like spotters and security grunts that by the time I get down to the amount of points I want to spend, these guys aren't answering the things I want to answer. And if I want them to answer things I want to answer, then I'm giving them deadly, but then I have to give them ambush. And we play a lot of tournaments, and ambush is basically doo-doo the second there's any sort of progressive scoring. So they lose a massive amount of their power by not having access to scout instead of ambush. So yeah, a bit of a shame really for the battle suits, but not an awful unit.
Not an awful unit, especially because the Build-A-Bear aspect is something we typically value. Like choice is powerful, choice is valuable. These guys are choice galore, and if you want something if you're building a list for themes or for the models you've got, and you're like, damn, I don't have coverage for these things, then battle suits are probably your answer to that one. But at the same time, do you know what is just good coverage? Is a load of AP 2 shots hitting you on 2-ups at 18 inches on a scout unit.
Yeah.
Or AP4 if it's ranged slayer. You know, like you can get good coverage elsewhere in the army that just through being a very powerful shooting force. And so these guys don't often make it. But that being said, I still put a lot of lists with these guys in.
Yeah, and I think if you are going to run these battle suits in this well, in either the blast configuration or in the deadly configuration, oftentimes when you have these style of units, if you double them up, you kind of get to like silly point costs. And a more efficient use of your points is to take a hero instead and just embed the hero in it for like a nice middle ground. So a battlesuit elite inside battlesuits, if you're playing base OPR, give them ambush. The battlesuit elite offers new weapon profiles. So obviously you already have you can get a bunch of deadly, you can get double suit fuses like the other guys have got. But their like special one is like 6 shots AP1 rending. So it gives you another weapon profile that you can then split. So you can do your deadly things on one side, and you've still got a rapid suit burst in there, and like you can like shoot off this one over here, and then shoot your battle suits over there, and then it's a bit more of like a bring the unit down, blow things up, or focus all in one if you need it to be. Yeah. So and then you can give it TV boost as well, which means that this kind of like slightly more durable unit can also play up close. Which makes it a much better objective player. And you're playing ambush, so you're probably playing for objectives with these guys. So I think, yeah, in base OPR, these guys are absolutely fine. I just don't take them in my list building anymore.
Yeah, reasonable stuff to say. As Harvey says, we do focus a lot on event and tournament play, where there's a lot of progressive, there's a lot of funky missions where ambush is less valuable and scout is more valuable. Cool, let's move on then. So we're moving away from the tough 3 baddies, and we're into just drone units themselves. First up, we've got a unit of gun drones, 5 of them for 140 points. They're quality 5 defense 4-up. Remember what Harvey was saying with that defense 4-up analysis there. These guys have got targeting visor and good shot, so in theory hitting on 3s on their own, and they have Strider. We again have had a chat about flying, but Strider can be very good as well on a cheap unit, which can nick points at the end. These guys come with twin pulse guns, 18 inches, 2 attacks with rending. No weapon upgrades for the gun drones, but they have got upgrade all models with ignores cover or shred when shooting. That is, both those are 5 points. We expect shred when shooting's cost to go up in the upcoming hotfix. And you can give them all regeneration, which is kind of cute. But you can't bury a hero in it if you've got regen because there's no other way of guessing it. Gun drones, you've sent me a lot of lists with gun drones in, and I have never built a list with gun drones in and thought, yeah, that feels great.
I think the place for gun drones sit is their like because of regen being first of all it's all models with regen, right? Yeah. If this was a regen aura, it would cost you 30 points, right? But for some reason, it's only 10 points for these guys because of the way auras work, I guess. I don't know, because these guys are quality 5 or whatever the reason is. So it's actually quite a cheap regen upgrade. 10 bodies with regen is 15 wounds. It's going to cost you 300 points. You put some shred when shooting on it. It's actually really not that bad, right? Rending is one of those things that like can cheeky you a couple of wounds. And shred's one of those things that kind of cheekies you a couple of wounds. So they're not awful. I mean, once again, they kind of like, would I rather have spotter squads? Probably, right? For the same cost, I don't get rending, but I get AP1, but I get scout, and I get all the other options they get. And stride is not that useful for a shooting unit that moves 6 inches every turn. Like obviously they're like, you know, you can play in cover, you can play in difficult terrain and then dash out on the last turn to contest objectives, which is also very good. But these guys are probably like the most like, oh, it's just a unit. Right? Like, oh, that's a unit, right? Oh, cool, right? Like, sick. Maybe I'll take some gun drones. But they are A2 tough 1. So they are very aggressive, even if they don't necessarily look it, right? You compare it to everything else in the game, A2 tough 1 is really aggressive. So I think they do definitely have a space, but their biggest problems is no spotting, right? So they're shooting actually on 4-up. If they're within 9, whereas like the spotting stuff can bring everything else to a 3-up even when they're shooting close, and they get the bonus of shooting over 9.
Yep.
So these guys are shooting 3-up at the range they're normally shooting, but they can't get that 2-up value. And there are important breakpoints in the game, and I think hitting an extra like whatever it is, like 3.3 shots from going from qual 3 to qual 2 is often very relevant. So yeah. especially when you've got shred when shooting, and those 3 extra hits could turn into, you know, 6 extra wounds.
Like, yeah. They could be
but still a good unit. I think, yeah, worth experimenting with. The thing they don't have is they don't have scouts, so they feel less dynamic, they feel less tactical than your spotter squads, with a potential for better spiking, I guess. But yeah, you could put some good drones in a transport.
That's also funny, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah,
cool.
I mean, once again, like, am I doing that, or am I just running some tactical grunts with a grunt leader instead, and then I don't waste my strider? And obviously, you can't embed anything in these. We've taken regens, so they are just like the default unit they want to be.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're okay.
Moving on, we've got the sniper drones. Onto a unit of 3 tough ones for the army. These, like the other drones, they're good shot strider TV. Because there's only 3 of them, it's 70 points. Now, let's see what the sniper is in the sniper drones. They come with pulse rifles, which are 30-inch A1, AP1 guns. That's it. Kind of cute for a 70-point unit. But you can upgrade all of those with reliable and takedown to make them snipers for 75 points. You over double the cost of the units, make them 3 sniper units that have got 2 redundant shooting rules.
Yeah, I don't know how the points cost works for that, unfortunately. I mean, I imagine they get a discount. I imagine they're not accounted for.
I hope so.
I think it is capped at quality too, and I'd hope that reliable overwrites it, but you never know. So what do we say about these guys? They hit on a 2-up. They've got AP1. They've got 3 shots. Are we killing a target with that many shots?
Are we killing a target worth that many points?
Yeah, so obviously there's lots of auras and shit in the game now, so there's more value there. But I think if you're trying to kill a hero in an embedded unit, you probably need to double these guys up. 30-inch range is obviously very scary. That's a lot. But to be honest, I'm not spending 300 points to kill a 100.
I'm not doing it, exactly.
No.
If they were
it's
24
really hard to get value.
inches...
Yeah, I mean, this is classic sniper problem, right? You know, every time we see a sniper like this, all I think is, what if we were in Ratman clans and we could get 6 of these guys for 200 points with AP4? 18-inch guns. I think they even have scout as well. Like, what the fuck is that compared to this shit? What do sniper drones
We'll go on
represent?
to Ratman clans when the new models drop, and we can revel in that. Yeah, that'll be good to do.
What do sniper drones represent for you, the budding DAO list builder? Have you run out of grunt leaders? Do you need to fill an activation? 70 points for an activation. Ain't bad. 3 wounds, death 4.
Mm-hmm.
If you need someone to take a point on the edge of the map and then promptly probably die and maybe do a little bit of pew-pew on the way, sure. Why not? Right?
Yeah.
Like, tiny little bits of chip damage are okay. I mean, they're 70 points. They're going to punch like 70 points. They're like really shit swarms.
Really shit swarms is probably the best way of leaving them. In the grand tapestry of options, they're probably staying behind. I wonder if they got... If instead of reliable, they got precision marker. Not spotting laser. Wait, have I said the wrong thing? No, yeah, I do mean mark. Precision mark. A way of guaranteed getting +1 to hit instead of reliable. I wonder if A, that would be cheaper, and B, that would be a bit more exciting, because you can put it all on whatever you're shooting at, or you can put it on something else and be a support unit. But I doubt it when you've got precision spotters. There's no point doing that. Like, you're just adding more fuel to the glorious DAO fire, really.
Yeah, the most insulting thing these guys did was take away an opportunity to see Adam, the HDF guy.
I was just wondering about him. The zero
what sniper doesn't have sniper built into them, you know? They've got sniper in the name. And I think they're the only unit in the army that's really a contender for letting us see Adam, the HDF guy. So kind of gutted there.
Yeah. But I mean, sniper, they could just be point snipers, right? Just 70 points, swoop in at the end and decap a point if they do nothing all game. Not horrendous.
Can we just go to a different army so I can see Adam once?
Yes, we can. Pick your poison.
Should we just go to HDF, surely? HDF got them? I don't even know. HDF does have it,
HDF
right?
don't.
No?
No, not at all.
No,
not at all. They've got so many upgrades. Adam, the upgrade guy.
Eternal Wardens, he's everywhere. Hey!
Wait, hold on.
Well, I still want the fantasy Adam.
Whoa.
No, give me a Grimdark Future.
Adam.
Infected colonies, runners. They have them.
Oh, Oh, he's gone straight for the knowledge bomb.
Is that a thing? They don't have an upgrade, do they? Effective runners?
Oh,
That's new. That's new. It used to
this
be
is our mid-video point. We're taking a break. We're playing. All right, here we go. Pot shots. Who can find Adam first?
Yeah. Okay.
My turn. Let's have a think.
You gotta go. Okay.
Oh, there's got to be someone in Jackals. Elven Jesters, I think, is safe. Goblin Reclaimers might be safe. This is really hard.
I think I have one.
I think you've got one.
Not an Alien Eyes, mate. You waste your time in there.
They have 1,000 upgrades. Oh, is there someone in Wormhole Demons? I want to say Wormhole Demons of Plague might have one. Let's go. Wormhole Demons of Plague, the Slug. No, that's wrong. I know that's wrong.
Sorry, I'm going to take your final answer.
All right, cool. I went for Wormhole Demons of Plague for the Slug, and I was wrong.
He's got a thingy, doesn't he? Right? In fact, is the Slug even existing?
Yeah, he is giant Slug.
Oh, that's a disaster.
That is so close.
Robot Legion's Doom Fighter.
Oh, the aircraft waterfall.
Robot,
yeah, well
come
done.
On. Scroll down.
Ready?
You better fucking be there.
Yeah! I was going to go for the Orc bomber next. The Orc Marauders.
No, I think maybe that can get a retail upgrade, unless that got removed. They used to have force field upgrades, didn't they? The Orc things.
Oh, come on, Internet. Army Forge is dying the night we're doing this.
This is why nobody watches our battle reports. We don't do dumb shit like
Bomber
this.
plane. Oh, tons of upgrades. Absolutely.
Yeah,
attack plane. Yeah.
There he is.
There we go. He was there.
Lovely Adam.
Oh, wow.
Anyway, back to the
if you've
DAO
made
review.
it through all of this shit, I think we've earned a subscription or at least a comment saying, what the fuck are you guys doing? See you in the comments, everybody.
If you made it this far, leave us a comment telling us what your favourite thing about Adam the HDF guy is. Or alternatively, your favourite unit with Adam the HDF guy on. You know, the unit you look at and go like, God, I'm glad Adam's here, but I would like it if my army had more options.
Triple alternatively, your favourite thing about... A single option. Your favourite thing about Adam, the Army Forge guy, because we have many favourite things about him. Did you know he can do a backflip?
He can do a backflip, yeah.
There you go. There's an Adam Forge lore. There's a story there we'll tell you on Discord sometime, folks. Let's go on into the light vehicles. Our first time reviewing an army with this new categorization of light vehicles / small monsters. Very exciting. The hover transport, something that Harvey is keen on. We can have a transport chat as well in this video. I don't think we've had a chat about it in 3.5. The hover transport, what does it do? I can tell you two things. It hovers and it transports. It's got Strider and Transport 11, big coming out already. So it's one of these Def 2 transports. It's got Tough 6, Quality 4 up, Strider, Fast Impact, and Targeting Visor. So can do some shooty bits. 200 points for this, I think, is actually bloody good. It comes with 2 guns that are both AP1, 2 shots are with rending, 4 shots are without. So this thing can split fire as well. Everything's at 18 inches. That's pretty damn good. What can it get? Well, you can upgrade it with 1 limited gun of Blast or Deadly. You can replace the A4 AP1 with other guns. One of them, for example, is A6, AP2 indirect. It's expensive, but nice way of pipping you up to 8 shots out of it. I'm more excited about these other upgrades, right? Piercing Shooter Mark we've spoken about. Stealth, pretty good. Melee Shrouding is 5 points. Like Wild Veil for Wood Elves and whatever the Shadow Stalker's name equivalent is, this is calculated on a per model basis. 5 points. 5 points of upgrade for that is glorious.
Yeah. So what do I like about hover transports? And I guess what makes them distinct from other armies? So we mentioned before, we think we're in like a tough 12 meta, right? So Deadly is everywhere, or it should be, right? Otherwise you're going to get rolled by fucking 4 tough 12 things and a horde of assault grunts. So bring your Deadly. Now that obviously means that transports seem quite high risk. Now what makes this transport good? It's actually the army that makes this good. So the army is all shooting. So the things you're putting in this are shooting. So the difference between that and a melee thing, traditionally transport's used for melee, right? You get them up close, they come out charging, they do their bits.
Yeah, blast at 16 inches and hope to get there with the last 6.
Exactly, yeah. Now, what does that mean? That means that for most melee armies, when you do that with your transports, they have to deploy on the line to be able to put that pressure on the board, to move those 16 inches to give you the extra 6-inch charge, right? You've got to deploy on the line so you can threaten them. When you're playing with a shooting army, you don't need to do that, right? Because what you're actually shooting when you get out is 18 inches of threat range, because you're going to move 6 up and you're going to shoot your 12 inches or your 18 inches, right? So as long as this moves further than the deployment line, you're getting some value out of it over your traditional deployment line, deployment for the unit inside. So if you've got like 18-inch shooters in this guy, he can actually deploy at the very back. And a lot of deadly weapons are quite short range. So all of a sudden those deadly weapons can't do what they want to do, and you can just swan in later in the game with your 16-inch range and do your stuff. Now the flip side to that is you don't need to do that. If they don't have good counters to it, you can deploy on the line. And then what can this thing do? It can move 8 inches. It can shoot its guns. It has targeting visor, right? It's still qual 3. So it can get off those 4 AP1 shots, maybe pip a rending shot, right? Do those little bits of chip damage before the unit inside then gets out and does stuff. And that's all on top of, if you want to spend a couple more points on it, first of all, it's got melee shrouding, so it's really hard to charge, right? And transports, once they've dropped off their targets, are really, really good for disrupting the board. They're relatively big models. They're def 2. They're tough 6, so you have to put something into them. They can block off line of sights. Melee shrouding means that you can't really charge them as easily as well, so they can block off line of sights and they're hard to charge. It also has stealth, so anything beyond 9 inches for this thing, it's really fucking annoying to deal with. So that just makes it really good as well. But yeah, so you can move your 6 inches, you do your shots and all that kind of stuff. And also you can then do your piercing shooting mark if you want to spend extra money on it, which then buffs the thing coming out of your transport, right? And most things coming out of the transport will have 18-inch range. So you swan up the map, you mark them, your thing comes out, it blows them to hell. So it then fills a utility role as well. So if you want a little bit more of a risk, you can put this mark on it. You then have this thing that's moving around the map. It's not bad offensively, right? Especially if you bump it up to AP2, or if you use the shooting mark on itself. They can still do stuff, right? It's big enough to block line sights. It's very annoying to deal with. It's got fast and strider, which makes it really good for taking objectives later in the game. We'd love if it was flying. It's not. But it just has a lot going for it, a lot that makes it more durable and more annoying than it seems. And then it has just the whole, like, it's dropped off its thing. It gets all of its value pretty much at the start of the game. So if it manages to get that value from there, it's just this really annoying incremental advantage piece, right? There's so many times where you can just like basically Tokyo drift up in front of someone's unit and then they can't get on the point anymore. And they're like, well, I could charge the hover transport, but like that's getting me nowhere in this game. And I might not even be able to kill it because it is def 2. Yeah. So I'm a big fan of this. It's very, very, very cheap, very useful, nice utility piece. You could take 2. I think you very rarely want to take 3. I think you can make 2 resources at that point. But I think at least 1 on every list is pretty good. And yeah, obviously they go very well with the shotgun grunts who want to be nice up and close. But also they go well with just the 18-inch grunts, right? You just fly it out,
grunts,
you shoot, right?
Pulse carbines, razz them up.
You shoot from around the back of it, right? Like you can use it as a moving piece of line of sight blocker, right? So you can, and it's a classic like old 40k thing. I called like Firefish or something. I can't remember what the strategy was called. But basically you have a hover tank, you fly up, you deposit your guys behind it, and then because it was floating, you could see underneath it, but they couldn't see you or something stupid. I don't know, it's like some dumb old 40k rule. But you can play a very similar strategy here where you move up with your hover transport, you position it in such a way that it blocks line of sight on one side of it. So anything to the left-hand side of the tank is the enemy, and then you like make a very, very narrow line of sight. So when your guys disembark, they can shoot down that line, and your hover tank is giving them cover from the side, which, as mentioned, you're a very fragile army. So this is ideal for that. You know, that unit I mentioned before, the range slayer plus 5 security grunts, plus 5 thingy grunts, tactical grunts, is a small footprint unit. You can very easily hide that behind an APC. It may not be using all 11 of the transport slots, but the way you're using it is way more tactical, you know. Making it so you can't shoot that unit means you're going to get more value out of that unit than if they could. So at the very least, you get +1 defense from the cover from it. So which puts your like shooter, whatever they're called, what are they called? The base guys, tactical grunts.
The security grunts, or the tank grunts.
Yeah, puts them up to a 3-up def. If it's security grunts, it puts them up to a 2-up def, right? So it's kind of huge, right? Like that's a lot of defense for like a squishy unit with 2 shots each, right? And all you need to do is position it just right so they can get out and benefit from that cover from other shooting, which is, given that it's fast and strider, not super difficult to do. So I think it's a great utility piece. Yeah, it
That's kind of
outshines
like,
a lot of the other APCs.
yeah, exactly. And like that is something I think that kind of keys into this point of how DAO are such a skill intensive army. They're very close to being maybe so good that they don't need that much skill, but this is one example of skill expression that you can definitely have within the army. So hover
Yeah, for
transport,
sure.
very good. On to something I think is a little bit less exciting is the hover attack bike. 165 points gets you a tough 6 4-2. This has got fast strider, impact 3, targeting visor. It comes with 6 shots, 4 attacks AP 1, and 2 attacks AP nothing and rending. Again, it's got melee shrouding and stealth, and you can replace the A2 rending gun with an 18-inch A1 AP4 deadly, and you can give it a limited shotgun as well. So what do you get here? You bump it up for 200 points for 7 damage worth of output on a fast strider thing. Kind of cute.
Yeah, I mean, so what is this thing then? I guess is always the question when it comes to these kind of light vehicles. What role is it filling? APCs are very obvious what they're filling. They're kind of like the chaff and mobility of the army. Fast and strider is a good combo for nipping onto points at the end of the game. An attack bike has got a smaller base size than a hover transport, so it's less likely to get cock blocked. 7 damage per 6 toughness is kind of sneaking up to the point where it's like pretty good, right? Also, you'd like to see 8, but 7 will do. But then it kind of runs out of things. It's not like it can do split damage, but I don't know. I'm just not super enthralled by this. I'm not seeing it as a piece. I think for 200 points, you could get a scout unit with a guy in it. And I just much rather have that, right? That gives you 13 attacks versus the 7 going on here. And yeah, like AP4 deadly is quite nice, but it's not so nice that you're like over the moon about it. So yeah, I think hover bikes are okay. I think they are cheap, so you shouldn't be expecting to do much. But I think if you weigh up the things that you can do with Def 2 Tough 6, I think you'd rather the hover transport doing them because it is bigger and blockier and can actually stop your opponent from taking objectives and stuff and use its body to stop things from happening. Whereas this is a bit smaller and can block less things, and I think it loses a little bit of utility there. And also it feels like it loses a lot more by double moving as well, whereas the transport can still do like the mark
everything
and stuff.
Else.
Yeah, and it can still use its transport and stuff like that. And transport's a really nice rule for just like sometimes in a game, your unit comes out of transport, you blow something up, and then there's one guy left. And he survives his morale check, and then you just pop him back inside the transport, right? All of a sudden he's massive ablative wound. And if the transport gets blown up, you put him down shaken, and then you unshake him. Right, and then so you still get this objective holder, right? As the second set of so the hover transport becomes ablative wounds for your actual objective holder. So I think the utility of hover transport means that it overshines the attack bike, and especially because you can give it 6 rending attacks, so you're going to get a bit of AP4 in there every so often, which is quite nice. So yeah,
it's the tough 6 problem, and I think that there's 2 points to it. Of tough 6, very few tough 6 units can output their maximum damage to tough ratio in OPR, and even then it's 8 damage, I think, to 6 tough is the max, because of the way that Battle Val rules work. They don't have the exception. They don't have the tough 3 going up to 6 attacks. They don't have tough 9 going to, I think it's 13 or 14. The percentage crank difference between tough and damage output is much higher on other tough values than it is on tough 6. So tough 6 naturally never feels as punchy or exciting. I like I can't remember, it might even be One With All, who's pushing as hard as he can in all of the chats in the Discord to make tough 6 units able to double up units to reinforce, which I think it would be sweet fun. I don't see why. I can't see the drawback to it, other than maybe like the on-board drawback of you lose one of those and you're on your morale checks already. But that's the sort of thing that could be a bit of cute fun for these guys. But generally as well, bikes and OPR, those fast units, even when it's the 3 blocks of tough 3 that we see in other armies, they don't fulfill an interesting or unique battlefield role. I think that if marks and tags and the like in just general armies were pushed onto bikes, they'd feel like something a bit more impactful. But this doesn't really have it. So sorry, hover attack bike, you're not filling everything that we want.
I will say that if they did give them the option to double up Tough 6, it would greatly increase the number of OPR players giving names to their minis, I think. I think when things come in twos, you really want to call them like Bert and Ernie and stuff, right? Like immediately they need a name.
Absolutely.
Right? I feel like they
Ajax
have
and
like a
Obelisk
buddy
is where
cop
I
atmosphere,
was.
right? Yeah, and then like one of them dies first every single time, and the other one's crying. He's like, why not take me first? Why take him every time? And you can give them like cool paint schemes that when they come together, it makes a fucking sun or some shit. Like
Yin
almost,
yang.
I feel like the amount you love your minis goes up greatly when there's just two of them.
Yeah, I mean, even just Kratos and Boy, get some God of War references in there. There would be a lot of opportunities for that sort of fun. Yeah, I kind of like that idea. I've seen it talked about a lot, and I think it's cute. I don't see the drawback to it, other than in gameplay, as I've said. It would be nice, and now you've said it, I want it. Now you've said it in exactly the way that you think would appeal to most players. My smooth brain is going, hell yeah, I want to do that. That sounds really
name
good.
a more iconic duo than Hoverbike A and Hoverbike B. And don't even say HGF guy and High Elf guy, okay? Because we already know they're going to win. But
yeah, exactly.
A bit of fun. I don't know how much you actually use it. You probably double them up most of the times, right? They're just like another top 12 unit at that point, really.
It's just another top 12 unit,
but
exactly.
Diminishes a bit faster. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad I raised that. Now I want it. Now I want it. There we go. That's where we are. Let's move on to the top 12 block of DAO as we're coming in to the big robotic dudes. If you are here for the kaiju, you're now in the right spot. Let's start with the least kaiju of all of them. This is the hover tank. Everything else after this is on two legs until we come to the aircraft. So the hover tank, what do you get? You get 355 points of tough 12, quality 4, defense 2 up, targeting visor, fast strider, and the typical impact 6. Now, what guns does it come with? It's got a twin heavy pulse gun. That's 4 attacks, 18-inch range with AP1, and a sub railgun. 2 attacks, AP1, blast 3, 36-inch range, no reliable or anything. That profile in itself doesn't thrill me. What can we do with it, though? That's where it gets interesting. So we've got upgrade with melee shrouding, which is 10 points here. Interesting. I might have to take back my second statement of the video, which is that this is a pummel. Right? Tough must come into it, but rounding things must be happening then.
Well, no, it's 5 for tough 6 and 10 for tough 12.
I was wondering about tough 3 things, but I don't think I've got a way of testing that here. Might have to jump into the calculator. I'm just wondering about wood elves is really what I'm thinking about, and the way
wood
that
elves
when I've
does
looked
melee
at
as well, so it will probably be more expensive. But
yes, very true.
Sorry, does range as well. Sorry.
So yeah, you mean does range, and there's also slightly different values. I digress. 10 points for this is still fantastic. Let's hit that big boy right there, and 25 points for stealth as well is pretty good. But on a tough 12 def 2, I'm less worried about it. It's this melee one where I don't strike back in combat and I get routed, but melee shrouding is really valuable. Now, look at all of these options. Gun choices galore. So let's take a quick razz through them. You can take these indirect limited guns as a bonus upgrade. The big ones are replace the sub-rail gun with replace 2 blast 3 shots and A4 AP1 with 2 blast 6 shots and a 2 AP1. Trade off 10 damage for 14 damage for 35 points. Seems pretty good. Or you can come into some of the more iconic big shooty shit. You replace that blast 3, the 2 blast 3s with 2 shots blast 3 indirect, leaving that behind. 2 shots AP2 blast 3 exciting, probably not taking it. 2 shots AP4 deadly 3. Now we're starting to talk. Or 2 shots AP2 deadly 3 indirect. A little bit interesting. What I'm actually doing though is I'm going back because there is a multi-stage upgrade process here. We'll stick with the base one. Actually, just while I've seen it, at the very bottom, we've got replace the twin heavy pulse gun. That's your A4 AP1 gun with some range of 2 shots with blast 3, 6 shots with AP2, or 4 shots with AP1 with keywords. I'm not looking at that really, because when you do that first step, replace it with the A2 AP1 blast 6, and the heavy pulse gun, you open up 2 more upgrade box options. First, the heavy sub-railgun, the Blast 6 guns, you can replace that with big things. So you've got, effectively, give it indirect for 20 points, A2 AP1 Blast 6. You can give it +1 AP for 25 points, which is A2 AP2 Blast 6. Also very good at dealing with the range of high-def infantry you get in GDF. Or you've got A2 AP4 Deadly 6. It's 95 points because it's a 36-inch range for the heavy railgun. But that is very good in a world where you can get this thing shooting on 2-ups in the tough 12 meta. And the last thing you've got is a heavy homing AT missile array, 30 inches A2, AP2, not so good, Deadly 6 indirect, also 95 points. And then you can do things with that A2 AP1 gun, the heavy pulse gun. I'm not going to dwell on those points, actually, because really, I'm looking at this thing and I'm thinking I either want it with A2 AP2 Blast 6 or A2 AP4 Deadly 6.
Yeah, the 2 upgrade paths are basically, you're choosing between Blast 3, Blast 6, or Deadly 3, Deadly 6, and you're choosing between A2 and A4, right? Like,
yeah.
And before 3.5, the Blast 6, Deadly 6, and A2 route with the heavy sub-railgun didn't exist. So this was capped at 10 damage output, which made it very bad. It was probably the worst tank in the game back then, because it's a tank, so it's not as good as walkers for most parts. So it's only doing 10 output, which is even less than everything else in the list.
Just to substantiate that statement by Harvey, because walkers can attack back in melee. That's what Harvey's talking about.
Yeah, and have fear, right? Fear plus death too, right? Great little combo. So like tanks are in a weird position really, because when they get charged, they really suffer, because most of them are quality 4. So if they lose a melee, it's a 50-50 to not be shaken, which is a real shame. Where does this tank now look? It's got this buff. Well, 14 attacks is a lot more aggressive. Way more aggressive. It now has targeting visors, so it hits on a 3-up. Very few tanks in the game hit on 3-ups. So that's really great as well. So it's now much more aggressive. It still has access to melee, shrouding, and stealth, which are 2 great little upgrades, very cheap, only 10 points and 25 points. 35 points to make it absolutely fucking pain in the ass, very similar to the hover transport. It has fast and strider, so it does that thing we were talking about before, where it like sits and shoots all the things it needs to shoot and then nips onto a point at the end. It's obviously quite big, so it loses a lot of its movement to like getting around things in a way that smaller units don't, which is a shame, but it's also not the end of the world. So this, it's really hard to review on its own because its direct competitor is the heavy stealth suit, right? If you're going for it, these two both represent like big deadly things, right? So this guy does 30-inch deadly, right? 36-inch deadly, A4 deadly 6. Is that right? Yeah. This guy
A4?
does big,
A2
long range, A4 deadly 6, right? That's where he plays. He plays really fucking far away.
AP4 deadly 6.
Yeah,
right?
sorry.
It's not 4 attacks deadly 6, yeah.
No, A2, sorry, yeah. So this guy sits really, really far away, and he shoots this really, really long range deadly gun, and he kills all big things really far away, and then he uses fastest right at the end of the game to nip onto a point. And between then, because he's got melee shrouding and stealth, he can still move forwards, right? Like he's less likely to get charged, so he can move a little bit closer if he needs to. If he wants to play objective stealth, that's okay. It's fast, so it moves 8 inches, so it's easier for it to position to get the angles it needs. With a 36 range gun, a small angle could be all the way across the board, and you're shooting the target you need to shoot. It's very oppressive. It controls a lot of space. And then because it's got stealth, it wins fights against other things like this, because if things are shooting quality 4 deadly 6 at you, and you've got that,
it wins the shoot off, right?
Yeah, it hopefully wins the shoot off and you don't get unlucky. So that's where the hover tank plays. I've probably never taken this in the blast config, because blast 6 is just bad when compared to deadly 6. Deadly 6 overkills things, which is great when regen exists, whereas blast 6 is just disappears into the wind. So this is basically a big deadly thing. The heavy stealth suit, which I guess it's worth skipping over the heavy battle suit for now and coming back to
I was going to say, yeah. Should we move on to the heavy stealth suit?
Yeah.
So we've got the comparisons. So the heavy stealth suit, by comparison, give the headlines and then you can come on to the compare and contrast, right? 325 points, tough 6, call 4, def 2, targeting visor, stealth built in, as it's in the name, it's a heavy stealth suit, ambush built in. Weirdly, I'm not using it very often, and fear 2. It comes with 1 shot with AP1 Blast 6, 4 attacks with Rending. It has 4 stomps, as we've talked about with Walkers. As Harvey has said, Blast 6 in the bin. It just has such diminishing returns, and against most units, it actually starts already devalued. So Blast 6, really just get rid of it. But you can replace that for 30 points with an 18-inch A1 AP4 Deadly 6. You can replace the 4 attacks with Rending with either 2 Blast 3 shots or 2 AP4 Deadly 3 shots at 18-inch range. And it's got the option, it's got a piercing shooter mark and a flying. Any of those is good. I'm probably not taking flying for the reason we've discussed. It's not fast. But it's got this stealth drone, flat additional -1 to hit. If you shoot this thing from over 9 inches away, it's -2 to hit. This thing is great. Compare and contrast this with a hover tank for us, Harvey.
Yeah, so if you go the full deadly profile on the hover tank with stealth and charge reduction, you end up at 520 points, I believe. The heavy stealth suit, if you kit it out with its deadly profile, so take the deadly 6 and the 2 deadly 3s, and then take flying and evasion, obviously flying is slightly optional, it's only 20 points, and a piercing shooter mark is also 520 points. Now, you don't need all those things, so you can always save points if you want to. And the piercing shooter mark doesn't actually need to be on the heavy stealth suit. It could be on a tank. It could be on transport or whatever, right? It's just 55 points you've got to spend. And likely you're going to spend on a piercing shooter mark because that's a really good thing to have. Mm-hmm. So what do they do then? So the heavy stealth suit is an 18-inch deadly thing, which means for it to be active, there's a good chance you might need to move twice before the thing you want to shoot gets in range because it's already starting 24 inches away from you. With that in mind, though, you probably are walking this thing forwards because not only will it have evasive, which means it's really annoying to charge, Def 2 plus Fear 2 plus evasive is really, really hard to win against in melee combat, right? Some units literally just can't win against this thing, right? And it'll get charged and it will win combat and it'll shake the thing it's doing. Yes, it only has 4 attacks and yes, it's only quality 4, but there's just the 2-up, -1 to hit, Fear 2 thing is just so great. So this can be a little bit more aggressive. It can move up the board. The other thing this can do, which the tank can do, but because it's slightly less defensive, struggles a bit more to do, is this obviously has split profile, right? So it's got 2 different guns that it can shoot. It's got a deadly 6 one, and it's got a deadly 3 one. So it can kind of like very evenly split damage across stuff. So if you didn't want to overkill one thing, let's say you've got 2 APCs, you can go high risk and try and shoot both of them.
Yeah.
But then obviously the tank is threatening a lot bigger space. Now, the last thing I haven't mentioned about the heavy stealth suit is obviously it has ambush. Now, are you using ambush on this thing? I don't know if it's worth using ambush on this thing because I think the value it has at the start of the game is so high, especially if your opponent's got APCs. You want the thing on the board because it basically means, okay, don't come near me until you've been activated, kind of thing. So you can use its ambush thing, and there are some game modes where you might want to, but I think most of the time ambush is a waste of, it's just wasted points on it, which is a shame to see. I can't really give you the answer about which one to take. The heavy stealth suit is cheaper. Hover tank is more expensive. You get more pieces if you take the stealth suit. The hover tank is a lot scarier, just like from being really, really far away and just going like, okay, well, you're going to die from 36 inches away. In like a basically an arms race situation where your opponent has their really long range deadly 6 thing that kills all your tough 12 things, and you have your really long range deadly 6 thing, 36 inches is probably going to win. Now, most OPR boards do not have that much, they have too much cover for you to shoot 36 inches away, but there are definitely angles where you can find that 36 inches, and if you're going to find it, then that's the way you're going to get it with that tank. So, and it can still play the thing the hover transport plays later on in the game. So it's interesting. I think you could reasonably go with either as your deadly answer. I think most of the time I'm leaning towards the stealth suit, but I tend to prefer having things of equal costs in my army, whereas some people like one big flashy thing. And if so, that's the hover tank for you, because it is like the premium deadly 6 thing. And all this stuff hitting on 3 is because of target device, which is great.
Yeah, targeting advisor really does a lot of lifting for these guys. Obviously, because we're dealing with high output single entity units here, so that +1 to hit is more impactful. It's really tough to split between them. Do you value your resilience in your heavy stealth suit, or do you fancy your movement and versatility and range in your hover tank? Remember that you've got fast and strider on the hover tank, so you can move 8 inches before shooting, so you've got the mobility, you've got a bit more flexibility in it there, whereas the heavy stealth suit is, it's foot slogging it everywhere, but you can offset that with ambush. And I think maybe in base OPR, does the heavy stealth suit pip it? I don't know. It is so hard to say. I think what you actually do is you pick your coolest model and you put that in. That's what you really do.
Yeah, it's also worth noting that obviously you also have 2 extra attacks on the hover tank with the heavy pulse gun upgrades. So there are some bits in there that you could take, which makes it kind of appealing. Like long indirect AP2 shooting is kind of interesting. Yeah, like that one there. Yeah, just 30-inch range. Just like just it's very expensive, but it's just like I'm going to do a little bit of damage here, a little bit of damage there, and it makes it this like much more of like an artillery platform compared to the stealth suit. Which may struggle to impact large areas of the game. Like hover tank, obviously, if your opponent's got 2 tough 12 things, they put one on the left side of the board, one on the right side of the board. This can threaten both of them most likely, whereas the heavy stealth suit can't do that. So lots of considerations between the two of them, but I think both of them are pretty good pieces. They're obviously very, very expensive, and you can do very similar things with spotters, with scouts, or spotters. Yeah, that's what they're called. You could with spotters with range slayer mark can basically do the exact same thing as them in a different way. So pick your poison really when it comes to it. I think a doubled up spotter squad with range slayer is my kind of vibe, because scout I think is just such a great rule. But you can also you can have both. Why not both?
Take them all. 4 activations, 1 tank, 1 suit, 1 spotter squad, and 1 of something else. There you go. It's really bad. Do not follow that advice. Let's move on to the sad and lonely little brother, the heavy battle suit. 4-2, fear 2, targeting visor, tough 12. It's 330 points. It comes with a quad missile pod, 30 inches, 8 attacks with decimate and unstoppable. Now, Unstoppable and Decimate, as we've spoken about, can be quite good if you expect aircraft in your meta. This thing isn't actually so shit as I was calling it. It just doesn't feel like it gets there quite as well as the other 2 that we've been talking about. But you can get your A2, AP2 Deadly 6 gun here for 30 points, bring it to 360. And then you can give it 3 to 4 extra attacks for a range of 50 or 95 points. Really, if you wanted to have a cheaper tough 12, which is very viable, very, very good at the moment, this thing with 2 attacks AP2 Deadly 6 and 2 attacks at AP4 is still fine. My biggest concern is that it's only AP2 with the Deadly 6, and you're launching this at things that are really going to be Def 2 up. So that AP4 is a big difference. It doesn't have evasion. It's got stealth as an optional upgrade. It doesn't have melee evasion aura as well. It doesn't have fast and strider. It doesn't have a load of the things that we've just been hollering about in the other 2 dudes. Yeah. It does have piercing shooter mark. Hip hip hooray for it. But really, when you're spending this many points on something, it's got a specified battlefield role. That's that Deadly 6 that we're talking about. And the heavy battlesuit ain't the one I'm coming for.
No, I think I agree with you. Basically, this thing is in a kind of like weird middling position. AP2 is so much worse than AP4. There are not
especially
many things in the game. There are not many things in the game that have 6 wounds and don't at least have Def 3. Right, like you'd be hard pushed to find a lot of them. Right, there's a couple of like weird squishy monsters and stuff at 6s.
In fantasy,
the Clawed Beast in Dark Elf Raiders. Is that a 3/4? I think it's a 3/4. If your local meta's full of Dark Elf Raiders abusing the Clawed Beast, it's under light stuff. There he is,
Clawed Beast
3/4. Yeah, that guy got a buff this patch as well. He used to be a 4/4, now he's a 3/4. What a lucky lad! No one's taken him still.
What a lucky guy. There is there's a few in fantasy. In goblins, you've got the big bug who's Def 4 up.
Yeah. He is regen though, so once again, he kind of counters the deadly
not
part
as good.
But yeah, either way, the point is it's few and far between, right? Like this is not a reliable tough 6 killer. So you ask then, okay, well, what is its role? If I take the Deadly 6 thing and it can't reliably kill that, it's in a tough position. Decimate plus Unstoppable. If that was 12 shots.
If this was 12 shots, exactly, right?
Yeah. Then you can start to see it, right? And you can upgrade it with 3 more, right? In its like twin suit missile pod. But why is that not 4 more? Right? Like it can go up to 12. Why can't it go up to 12? It can go up to 16 actually, is where it could go up to, right? The battle, and it doesn't really have the same kind of style of the battle suit as well. It's obviously a bigger boy, but it doesn't really feel like a battle suit again. I don't know. I also like, how bad is the aircraft threat in your meta where you feel you're in the need to take all this stuff? I don't know.
Yeah.
I think I'd rather just take a big old deadly 6 gun or a deadly 3 gun and let that be my way
Especially
of dealing with it.
with the aircraft nerf, which was a good thing. Let's just be very clear about that. Removing that -1 to hit was good for it. But that -12-inch range being the only thing that's left defending them, your hover tank has 36-inch range, mate. Like, this thing is one-tapping aircraft because you're hitting on 3-ups. On average, you know, one of them's going to hit, and that guy's got to make a 4-up to keep his night transport alive or something. The hover tank does it a little... Well, no, the hover tank does it a lot better. A lot better.
The advantage that Heavy Battlesuit's got is it can... Well, actually, can it? 36 inches. So it can threaten 36 inches off your back point, which covers the whole of the opponent's deployment zone. So you can always shoot their aircraft, assuming you got line of sight to it and you've had the chance to deploy it and stuff, which is definitely his value because lots of aircraft in the game are quality 4. So you don't need that many wounds on it to really to shake it. That being said, this thing's shooting 8 shots. They're hitting on 3s. Okay, let's take the 50-point upgrade. It's 11 shots. We're hitting on 3s. That's 2/3 of them. That's generously 8. AP2, they take 4 shots, right? It's not killing it. And then it's a 50-50 on their side whether they get shaken or not. And then they could still do their whole thing. So I think if you're looking for dedicated anti-aircraft, you're probably going battle suits, maybe. Or just join one of the friendly local game store metas that bans aircraft. It's a cheaper option.
I've seen that. I've seen that.
A couple people talking about that in the Discord.
It doesn't do the thing, right?
No.
Of course, if you've got the cool model for it, fuck it, run it. But if you're looking to, as I've said before, we direct our advice and our guidance to people who are trying to just win those extra few percents of games. And I don't think the heavy battle suit is letting you do it. I think the biggest thing is, right, this guy doesn't get more attacks than his tough. That is something we value so highly. The ability to wipe out a whole unit. Like, this guy doesn't wipe out a whole stack of 10 dudes. It doesn't wipe out a tough 12 enemy model like the hover tank does. It doesn't engage in a trading game.
No.
And at that many points, you need it to be good at wiping things out. So,
and also, like,
sorry, heavy boss.
There's something really to be said about like AP4, deadly 6, 2 shots of it, right? Is really intimidating. Your tough 12 thing, you're not going to move towards it because you're like, they could one-shot me. I mean, I'll play a bit more cagey, right? And you win a lot of games off people just playing around these things and not necessarily playing into them, right? So either they go like, okay, I'll push my tough 12 thing up the board and just hope for it, or I won't do that, and now the tough 12 thing is not getting its value. I played against a heavy stealth suit in a game before Christmas in an event, and I had a Carnivore Rex, and because he had the big scary heavy stealth suit, I put all my scouters on that side and I ambushed it and I started fighting it. This thing would not die. It was just like nothing I did to it was ever going to shake it or anything like that. It just kept fighting. And the second my Carnivore Rex came around the corner, it just turned towards it, went like bang, bang, and it died. And I was like, right, well, that's good. And
Pop goes the big bug.
Yeah, and they got mad value because it is hard. Because it's basically an aircraft, right? Once you've got evasive on it, it's got the kind of like that strange durability of an aircraft, but it's tough 12. So yeah, it's the stealth suit I think is a bit scarier.
We're far more on the other ones here, And then as for which one, toss a coin and pick your favourite mini. Sorry, heavy battle suit. Now let's move on to the Titans.
Finally,
in fact, no.
Let's fucking meet. No, let's talk about the only melee unit in the army. Let's fucking go.
All right, fuck it. Let's go. Let's start with the Tide Titan. The Tide Titan, 470 points for a tough 18. Hallelujah, the tough buff, bringing this down to viable at 2k. Quality 4, def 2, fear 3. Targeting visor? Well, I'll tell you about the loadout in a second as to why I'm a bit squeaky about that. But evasive very good. Evasive very good when you've got the Nova Shield. You can replace it for more damage. Why am I squeaky about the targeting visor? It comes with a twin plasma rifle, 24 inches for 2 shots AP4 on this tough 18 guy, and that's where shooting ends. It's got, however, a heavy plasma sword, 8 attacks AP1 rending. The stomp on a tough 18 means that it's A6, AP2, very nice. So that's 14 attacks that we've got there on a tough 18 guy. Now, you can replace the heavy plasma sword for 100 points and get 12 shots AP1 rending, or 4 shots AP2 blast for 165 points, and then get some more DACA if you get rid of the twin plasma rifle. Or you can replace your heavy Nova shield for an extra 8 attacks AP1 rending and come swinging out the gates with 22 attacks on a tough 18 model for only 475 points. Hilarious. In a shooting army, I'm probably not doing it though.
I'm actually torn about this guy. I can't decide what I think about him, because he's Def 2, he's tough 18, he's got evasive, he's got fear 3. That's a lot of things stacked in his favor. I know he's quality 4, but he does have 14 attacks. And he's actually only 470 points, which is an extremely low amount for 18 wounds, Def 2 with evasive.
It is very good for that many. But
Things are
folks,
really struggling to shift this guy. And I will say as well.
I wonder.
Go on.
Go on. I'll let you have your say.
Okay. I will say the twin plasma rifle. Do not sleep on having a little like sidearm, a little Glock in your pock, right? You'll be in situations with this enormous melee fucker, right? Where your opponent is sitting 12.1 inches away from you and you're like, you fucking bastard, put that fucking tape measure away. And so at that point, you move 6 inches up and you give them a little cha, right? And you kill 2 of their models because it's AP4 and they feel bad about it. And then also later in the game, you move on to a point and you spin and you shoot some motherfucker and he shakes. You get a lot of value out of these tiny little guns, and that's where TV comes in. Huge. So yeah, I mean, that's my selling for Titan. I think also as well, you could just swap out the sword and go for 12 shots AP1 rending, and you still have Def 2, Fear 3, Evasive, Tough 18.
Yeah,
it's
this guy
570 points, but you still have 14 shots, right? So you're still doing a lot of stuff, and it still then has access to the stomp, which means it's really threatening to charge it as well. So it's kind of one of those pieces that you just like put in the middle of the board, and you 6-inch it forwards, and you shoot the things you can shoot, and then you 6-inch it forwards, and you shoot the things you can shoot.
And then maybe evasive, so it's -1 to be shot at.
Yeah, and that's no range requirement, right? And it's evasive, which is -1 to everything, right? Melee as well. So the whole thing is just like, it's really hard to shift, and it's relatively cheap. So I think you could probably find a place in an army for this. I think it's one of those kind of like weird threats where 470 points is not actually a massive amount. And it's kind of like, if they focus it, then you're getting mad value out of it because it's got 18 wounds, so they're going to have to pour multiple activations into killing
18 wounds. Well, see, now this is my counterpoint, which is that Harvey is short-term memory loss, apparently, because he forgets that 3 weeks ago I did 18 wounds with my Titan Lord's one-shot. Caused controversy in the Discord when someone posted going, what is this crackhead doing? He said he did 18 wounds with a single dice. What's going on here? Hallelujah for Shred. Which could just happen to this guy. But it is a chain of events that has to be followed to get there.
And also much less likely to happen because of evasive. I mean, obviously, in that situation, you rolled a 6 and then I rolled into a 1, but like, whatever, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like, that stuff can happen. Shred's a load of bullshit.
Dice happens, right? Shred is a load of bullshit.
470 points still, right? Like,
yeah.
Pretty decent.
And this is your melee guy, right?
Yeah, exactly, right? Like, something that the army is actually missing is just something that could just walk up the board in the middle, right? And, like, threaten that space, right? So for 470 points, you could have something that you just, like, double move turn 1, and then it threatens everything from your deployment zone to their deployment zone, covers points coming into round 2, and then if they want to dive you, you're about to turn around with this motherfucker and smash their asses, right? So...
Taking the Glock in the pot comment for a little walk longer down this entertaining route, how about you just replace the Glock with the twin fusion carbine? I think I'd overlooked this, actually. 45 points, you replace it to get an 18-inch A2 AP4 Deadly 3 gun. This guy's still got TV, he's still probably hissing you on 3-ups. When you're dealing with that, and we're at that, what's that, 425 points? No, 415 maths me, 415 points. I did it right. Oh my God, first time this video. That guy can suddenly do bits.
Where are you getting 415 points? 515.
515. Fuck. I was so close, everyone.
Or 615, right? And then he's got A12, A1 rendering, and also a slightly bigger Glocky in his pocky. And he's still Def 2, 18, evasive, fear 3, right? Like, don't underestimate fear 3 with Def 2 and evasive.
12, 16.
I think there's something in this guy, mainly because he's tough 18 and costs less than 500 points.
Tough 18 evasive, Def 2. Like,
yeah, I think it's a scary little breakpoint for him. So, you know what? If you're out there and maybe got a TTS game coming up with DAO soon, slot one of these in and tell us how it goes.
yeah, I'd be curious to hear.
I think there's potential for this guy.
Cool. Let's move on to the third gym leader of the original Pokemon games. It's a Surge Titan. 695 points gets you a tough 24 model. With Def 2 up, this thing is tough to chew through. It is Qual 4, but it's got TV. It's Fear 4. What do you get for that? You get Cluster Rockets, 8 attacks AP1, a Pulse Blaster, 3 attacks AP2 Blast 3. Let's do some maths here in our head. That's 17 damage output coming out of a tough 24 model. How do we ratchet this thing up to 24 plus? I don't even know what the max is that a tough 24 thing can hit. Let's see what we're allowed to do here. So you can replace the 3 blast 3 shots with 3 deadly 3 shots at 36 inches AP3. AP3 is an interesting one, 60 points there. You could upgrade it with an extra A1 AP2 deadly 3, so we're getting to 20 damage here. That can become A2 blast 3, 23 damage here. Upgrade with 1 A4 decimate unstoppable. That is 70 points. That is a lot. Upgrade instead with an A6 AP1 indirect weapon for 140 points. We are in the 3k territory here. And then you can replace the twin flamer, the 50-point flamer upgrade, with 4 attacks AP1 rending for 5 more points, or 2 attacks blast 3 indirect for 25 points. I'm probably not doing that. They feel like a bit of a step down. How do we crank this guy to the max? He's 695 points. Give him 3 attacks AP3 deadly 3. We're at 655 points. Give him 2 flamer attacks. We're into the 700 point stage. Give him an extra 6 attacks AP1. Whew, we're nearly at 900 points there. But what do you get? You get 6 attacks AP1 indirect, 2 blast 3 reliable shots, and 3 AP3 deadly shots. 15, I count 21 damage output. Have I missed something?
I don't know. So what, this 8 base, which doesn't go away?
The cluster rockets, that's what I missed.
Yeah.
So 29. You can get 29 attacks around out of this tough 24 model.
Which is that's a good number of attacks. 29 is a lot. If we're talking 2k, then this guy can get no upgrades. So he is just his blast attacks and his A8. He's 700 points for a tough 24. That's very hard to shift. There's almost value in the fact that it's just a lot of stats and it probably guarantees you a point. There's also the classic 120 millimeters in inches is 4.7.
What's
if you add
160?
1 inch on either side of those, you get to 6.7 inches, which is bigger than most objectives, almost as big as an objective.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, you reach a point with these big models where you can just put them on an objective and the opponent can't legally get onto them. Which means you guarantee take an objective. There's literally nothing they can do about it. They can't get rid of this guy. They can't move him. They can't. I mean, they might have mind control, and that would be the saddest matchup. But for 700 points, you can just take an objective. Now, I think the rules around covering a whole objective should be tightened a bit because, it's a mini agnostic game. So someone could actually go like, well, I'll just take a heavy stealth suit and I'll put it on a 7-inch base, and now you can't get on the objective either. But it's an edge case and very rarely comes up. Much more comes up in TTS, I think, than in actual real life. There are lots of TTS models, like the Titan Lords ones that everyone uses, which are just simply too big. They almost take a whole objective. Am I taking this guy at 2,000 points? No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
No, I think the Titan is much more cost effective for a very similar role.
And achievable, right? Like 18 points of toughness at 500-ish points at 2k. At Def 2, on a single model that doesn't lose attacks as it loses wounds.
Yeah.
Pretty pretty good. A good way of spending 500 points. Obviously, it's only one activation on a quarter of your army at 2k. But this guy, I feel like we've passed a break point a little bit because he just doesn't output enough.
No, and the blast I don't think is as useful as the Tide Titans, just like having like evasive. And being 200 points cheaper. So I think, Tide Titan's also got the same size base as well. Also, saying Tide Titan just makes you think of Teen Titans. All I can think of is that. Do you ever watch that?
So I never watched Teen Titans, but I don't know. We're not that far apart in age, but I'm thinking of I'm thinking Pied Piper when I say Tide Titan.
I kept thinking of Pied Piper as well, yeah. And I was like, I'm saying Pied Piper in a weird way. What am I thinking of? I'm thinking of Teen Titans. Teen Titans. That's what I think of when I think of the Tide Titans. Standing on your faces. So
I was hoping you could do like a superhero pose of some sort there to go with it. I know nothing about Teen Titans to know.
There is some value in just getting 2 Tide Titans and putting them on objectives and saying, haha, you can't stand on these objectives because I've blocked them entirely.
That's hilarious, yeah.
So, definitely some strategic plays to be played with the Titans. Search Titan, leave at home. Maybe at 3k, have a romp around with it because it goes with that like 900 point-ish mark where you basically have 3,000 big dude.
Is there some shit-eating strategy at 3,000 points of just bringing 4 Tide Titans and just blocking off most of the objectives?
I think at 3,000 points you can probably kill off a couple of Tide Titans, but yes, very valid strategy. I think it's a 4-round game, OPR, right? So, especially at 2,000 points, something with 18 wounds and evasive and def 2, and fear 3, which makes it hard to charge, is just really hard to remove, and especially if your opponent gets lower uptime on it. And if they start to pour resources into it, then actually you win as well because they're wasting points on this thing. And they might eventually kill it, right? Like it will die, right? Things will come along with AP4 and it will kill it. But the resources they're pouring into a 470 point unit while you're killing them with all your shooting, it's very difficult. I'm a firm believer that tough 18 shouldn't exist in 2,000 points. I actually mentioned this in the Discord the other day, or maybe we'll make a video at some point about it. Because we do want to do our own OPR tournament. Sometime in the future. A little TTS. Don't think just charge action. Hell yeah. But I was saying I think it would be good for OPR competitive scene if there were like limitations to what you can bring. You're already limited to 4 heroes. Why don't we extend that to 4 heroes, 8 core units, 3 light vehicles, 2 heavy vehicles, no Titans, no aircraft at 2,000 point. I think all of a sudden you get a much more balanced, interesting game from that. And that also still allows Titan Lords to play because they can take 3 light and 1 heavy or whatever it is. I think maybe they all come into vehicles and monsters for the Titan Lords, but either way, there's ways of making it work.
I think they all do, yeah. But you just make Titan Lords the exception, right?
Yeah, but I think the game would benefit from it because you get more rounded lists, is what I'm saying. 8 core is still enough to do like a horde strategy, but it's not like completely oppressive. But anyway, that's a side point. I think Titans in general probably take the piss at 2,000 points. So you probably would find great use out of your Tide Titan, especially if your opponent is so caught up dealing with all your shooting or your really, really squishy shooting, that this thing just gets to romp around the map and take large portions of the board.
Yeah. So there's the Tide Titan. Now let's round out with some things that go. We've got the aircraft. We'll start with the Razor Fighter. 300 points for a tough 6 aircraft with targeting visor. It is Qual 4 Def 2 up. It's got a 30-inch ion cannon, 2 attacks, AP 2, blast 3, and an 18-inch twin burst carbine, A4 and rending. Immediately, by the way, when we're talking about aircraft, we are thinking very high output weapons platforms. They can't take objectives. They move a very long range. They've got minus 12-inch when shooting against them. And then their Balval calculation with that rule means that you can crank them. Can they go to 200%?
I think it's 200%, yeah. It's like artillery.
I think it's 200. Yeah. Well, I mean, here, let's actually do the maths, because you can upgrade it with one of the 2 things here. Oh, no, these are limited, so they break the rules.
Yeah.
You can have a Blast 3 or the Deadly 3 limited guns, and you can replace the A4 Rending with A4 Decimate Unstoppable for 25 points. What am I thinking about the Razor Fighter? I'm not taking the Decimate Unstoppable, because if you are going anti-aircraft, you want something that can one-tap it. You don't want something that, on average, deals 2 wounds to it, or even less on average. It's actually at 300 points. This isn't too bad on its own. It can really do a lot of damage to some units. Does it get 300 points worth of value when it can't take objectives? I'm not sure.
We've not had an opportunity to say it, so we're going to say it. This is a really expensive flamer beast.
Oh,
that's what it is. It's 300 points, and it's basically just doing the blast thing, using TV to get that off. I think for 300 points, it's too much. I don't think it has enough impact on the game. Aircraft are really good. You probably will find use for this if you actually use it. It does have split damage profiles. It can be literally everywhere on the board. Less so than other aircraft because TV requires a 9-inch thing. But it can basically be everywhere on the board, and because it's not playing transport, it doesn't really matter about where it is, because 30 inch and 18 inches might as well be the whole fucking board when you can move 30 inches. So this is like paying 300 points for a super caster, is basically what it is. You pay 300 points, you get a really, really powerful caster that you're probably not going to kill, and it will go around popping things on the board. It's okay. I don't think it's pulling enough. You compare it to like a night transport, which I think is only another 40 points or something. That then gets transport 11, and all the other bells and whistles, same split damage profile, but call 3 instead, get self-repair, all that good stuff.
270 points for the night transport. But
okay, so it's 75 points more than or whatever it is, but way, way, way more utility.
I was going to say that is a
quality 3.
Big
Don't underestimate self-repair on stuff like this as well, because obviously if it's being shot by Deadly 6, self-repair means you can actually live. This thing doesn't have self-repair, so it just instantly dies. So lots of considerations, but either way, I don't think it's a very good aircraft. It's okay.
I don't think it's a good aircraft.
You can use it, but for 300 points, like, cut another unit and get a Tide Titan.
Yeah, and let's round out with the Sun Bomber. 4-2 aircraft, targeting visor, tough 6, 245 points. So we are going cheaper here, and we get to see for the first time in 3.5 a review of this new rule, strafing. What have we got? We've got 1 attack, AP 1 blast 3 at 30 inches, 2 attacks, decimate unstoppable at 30 inches. So we're only on 5 here. Let's see how it rounds out. Pulse bombs, range, nothing. 2 attacks, AP 1 blast 3, and strafing. Once per activation, when this model moves through enemy units, pick one and attack it with this weapon as if it was shooting. And you can only use it in this way. It's got the 2 limited upgrades. Strafing, a really cool rule design. When this was wheeled out in beta, I was there thinking, fucking sick, new rules, new implementation for it. So that is something very much in favor. This thing does 11 points worth of damage. You're not limited by your 30 inches. Or, ooh, how does this work with targeting visor?
It doesn't, which is what I was about to say.
It doesn't.
Yeah, gutted.
Damn.
This is hitting on a 4-up. This is also not very good, basically, off the back of that interaction.
Yeah,
it's only 245 points, which is a lot cheaper than the other one. Fills a very similar role. I think strafing is an extremely, extremely good rule.
It's really cool. Really cool.
I think a lot of people are imagining point it towards a unit, fly over that unit, shoot that unit. But what it lets you do actually is fly over a unit over here to the end of the map, shoot the unit below me, and now I've affected 2 things on either ends of the map.
Yeah.
Because you just got to move over it, right? And then you can shoot everything else, the other stuff. So I think this is really good for stuff like the Rapacious Beast in Alien Hives, which now has access to it, which is a very cheap aircraft. Flies around, drops its bombs, does stuff. It's more expensive now than it used to be. But yeah, so it's got this blast 6 shred strafing thing, which means it's just zipping around the map doing stuff, right? And it still has this reliable blast thing. So the Rapacious Beast is doing lots of nice things. Whereas I think this is, because of not really interacting with targeting visor, it being on a 4-up, I'm not as excited about it, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's a big shame. But I'd like to see more strafing come out in the game generally, insofar as aircraft are in the game.
Yeah, I mean, I think I also like. I'm okay with strafing as a rule that can be included in actual normal units.
Yeah,
we get a lot of
already
like
got that a little
cross
bit,
bomb
right?
stuff, right?
Crossing barrage,
crossing strikes, and stuff like that. I think those could be turned into weapons with the strafing rule instead. I think that's a lot more interesting. It stops it from being limited to just hitting on a 6-up with like AP1 or AP2, whatever it is. You did not come to this army for crossing strike. What?
It was the first one that was in my mind.
How dare you not go to
the
Jackal's Vultures? What is wrong with you?
Oh, Jackal's Vultures. Yeah, that goes to show the difference between me and Harvey.
Yeah, you need to go
I think about dinosaurs, and he's like, no, the Jackals.
His interpretation of it.
Oh my god, it's the base rule for them.
Yeah, no, it's a base rule. Yeah, so there's 2 different versions of crossing, right? There's crossing attack, which is on a 6-up, they take 1 hit, and there's crossing strike, which is on a 4-up, they take 3 hits AP1. Why do we have
No,
these
I
rules
have
the
no
way they
idea
are?
where to find that. So do you know how I'm going to find it?
You're going to go to opr.harve.dev. As seen on
There we
screen.
go. As seen on screen, a very excellent reference website, courtesy of Harvey.
Yeah.
That's the pun himself. So crossing strike and crossing attack are both in jackals. That's hilarious.
Yeah. They got
But
everyone.
So this is cool.
It's on
but
the narrative hero, but yeah. Either way, so
Oh,
there's two
fun.
versions of crossing, right? Which is really weird, I think. First of all, I think it's weird that crossing strike is crossing strike says 3 hits AP1, but it's crossing strike 1 is 3 hits AP1. Why is that not crossing strike 3 or crossing attack 3 or whatever it is? But I think also, like, let's use strafing instead. Let's make, I don't know if strafing would make sense. Does it say, like, is it the kind of thing? Like, I think that could just be, use that tag instead of crossing stuff, and then you can make interesting weapons. Because you could then give it
playing
stuff
off
like
the unit's
rending,
quality,
and it's playing off the unit's quality, right? And all of a sudden you have a slightly more engaged like bomber profile that isn't either just AP1 or just 1 hit, which I think is a shame. So Tano, if you've made it this far in the video, give us some strafing stuff on some normal units. You've got the keyword. We're ready to roll. The weapon update's coming out in a year. Give us the good stuff.
With flying. Let's not have that happen. Where the unit doesn't have flying. Or whatever that the rule
traverse
is.
Now, right? Traversal.
Traverse, yeah.
Yeah. So that does exist for stuff like but like stuff like fanatics, right?
Yeah,
fanatics,
exactly.
Like why are their weapons not also their traversal weapons, right? Like it could be cool.
That would make a lot of sense.
I mean,
plus then you could combo that in goblins specifically with shroom sniffers. Oh, amazing. Look at that.
I mean, this says as if it was a shooting one, but you could have an equivalent one for melee, right?
You could, yeah.
Either way, the point is it's a new keyword. Let's use it all over the shop. Let's make it a bit more exciting. But yes.
We have digressed a little bit here, but the Sun Bomber, not great. Razor Fighter, not great. They're a better aircraft. That's not why we're in DAO. We're in DAO for the hover tanks. We're in DAO for the Kaiju, and of course, the spotter squads.
Let's get mystical, bro, before we go to list building. We need to talk about the magical side.
Threatened this.
Threatened
now, look, the limitations on this spell list, before we get into the spell list itself, are the fact that you only have a single caster 2 in the list. It's not even one of the fun ones where one of the Titans has caster 4 or something, or if you're in Demons where they have caster 5 upgrades, insane. No, we have a miserly caster 2. Yep. So what does that mean? Where we'd usually start our analysis on these level 3 spells, the best, sexiest, most exciting ones, you're doing them max twice per game. Per caster. That's crap. But let's have a look. Level 3, Devastating Strike. Pick an enemy unit within 12 inches, which takes 6 hits with Decimates. Pretty crap. When you could just have Ogres 6 hits AP2.
Yeah. First thing I think about this, I think keywords that say ignore cover and spellcasting, I imagine they're still charging the cost of ignore cover, is what I would guess. I'm not 100% sure on that. I've not dove into it, but it wouldn't surprise me if this was just costed like a weapon, a 12-inch weapon with Decimate, and so therefore you're paying for ignore cover. So the spell list is already more expensive than it probably should be. Like you mentioned, this is 6 hits AP2 with a condition, so it's not as good. It's still a great spell. Like, you know, there's lots of Def 3 stuff and lots of Def 2 stuff that 6 hits AP2 is nice against. Unfortunately, no caster 3s. If they had caster 3s, I wouldn't actually mind the spell list at all. But
yeah, I agree with you.
It's just a lack of access to the interesting spells.
Yeah, exactly. The reason I wouldn't mind it with caster 3 is this next one, which is pick 3 enemy units within 18 inches, and friendly units get AP1 when shooting against them. Maybe I prefer it was 2 units get AP2, but this is good coverage for a shooting army. That's the sort of thing that's just... It's not overt, but it's pretty damn clear that this synergizes with your army, and I like to see that, but no caster 3.
I mean, I'm glad it's not AP2. If there wasn't a spell that gave AP2, fucking hell, that'd be great. The thing I like about the spell, though, is it targets enemy units instead of friendlies. When you buff friendlies, you give your opponents a chance to do something about it. When you buff enemies, they don't get a chance, right? They can't specifically target the one you buffed. It's basically like giving -1 defense to the unit for the next time they get attacked. So, yeah, it's pretty decent. So a good spell, but once again, you can't cast it until round 2. And because it's on the Grunt Leaders, they don't have a way of ambushing, so you can't do ambush caster stuff. The best thing you can do is like scout them up the board and
stick them in a transport.
They are super cheap Grunt
twos.
Leaders, right? So bear in mind, you can get you can get what we're about to talk about for 65 points, right? Which is really cheap for some of these effects. But also, I think you're probably just using your Grunt Leaders for other stuff.
Yeah, exactly. When Rainslayer Aura is there. But let's talk about the level 2. So the damage spell is Deadly Surge. Pick an enemy unit within 6 inches, which takes 6 hits with Bane.
Yes.
Okay, this 6 inches is absolutely crippling on an army where you want to be over 9 inches away from your enemies.
Yep.
I suppose it has its coverage for when they get too close to you and you're on an objective, but I don't love it. And Bane is
they
just...
destroy them with 6 hits and Bane. Oh, the ruination. Nothing stands back up after 6 hits with Bane. Yeah.
On a 4.
On a 50-50, hell yeah. 50-50 do 6 hits with Bane. Obviously, spellcasting is good. It's very offensive, but yeah, this is probably not a reason to take it.
No. Or you can give 2 friendly units TV boost. I don't love TV boost. I love some army boosts. They are excellent. Yeah. Destroyer boost, for example, and Warbound boost are up there, as we've shown in our recent bat reps. Make your point again right now about the whole pick 2 friendly units to get a buff thing.
Yeah, so obviously when you pick a unit, the opponent might just kill it, and then you've got no effect out of it. That's true of every unit. Obviously, you're paying points for units, and if they destroy it, then you don't get your value. One thing I will say about this spell is it's the next time it would apply, which means it only applies the next time you shoot within 9 inches. So it's kind of like a game-long buff. You just throw it at the very start, and then if they ever find themselves in a situation where they want to be closer, they can use it. So you could consider a Grunt Leader with Caster 2, 65 points on his own, or maybe give him a spotting laser as well. And his job is to cast target visor boost, and his job is to throw his precision spotters on things. It's halfway up, yeah. And that could be his whole role, and he's just a little support character. And he can also...
I was looking at Scout, because the 5-point Scout on him is also not bad.
Oh, yeah, for sure, yeah. I mean, even Shield is not bad on him, but you can view him as a little buffing character. The problem you then have is precision spotters are 4-up, and targeting visor boost is a 4-up at a Caster 2. So there are some games, where it just won't go off.
Nothing happens,
which is tough.
Yeah. Well, then we can look at the level 1 spells. Now, I actually don't hate these as far as level 1 spells go. Pick an enemy model within 18 inches to take 2 hits with AP 1. So every round, your Grunt Leader, who's an ethereal elder, does this on a 3-up. Kind of good for plinking away things like all of those auras we've spoken about on single tough models. If you're in the mirror match and you're playing melee DAO, stay tuned, and they've got melee shrouding aura, plink it away, not bad. Don't hate that one at all. Or pick a friendly unit to get fearless. Now, actually, we're going to have a look at a melee list soon. But your Tide Titan, who's on a 4-up, give him fearless. Give him fearless. There's a strategy for you. But these are fringe. I'm spending my points on Range Slayer or the other things that we've spoken about.
Yeah, I just think, unfortunately, that the spell list isn't doing enough to just... Like, with everything spellcasting, you will find success if you take it. Normally, spellcasting, you want to stack. Like, you want lots of spellcasters so you can put lots of tokens in it, so you can do lots of things on a 2-up. You're probably not taking multiple caster 2s to reach that 2-up dream. Because you'd be paying 130 points for 2 caster 2s to try and get these things off on a 2-up every round. And it's at that point you're like, how much is targeting visor boost really worth? How much do I really need more hits with AP1? Right? How much do I really need Bane? Right? Like, Fearless is the only nice one. You could slowly blanket your army with it, 3-ups, which is, once again, a nice little utility piece, but also 130 points. Give me bigger guns for the most part.
If you go for 2 of them, I'll just take the PPO.
Yeah, what you'll find with that kind of unit is, like, actually, a lot of what it'll do is just it being a Grunt Leader, right? Like, it'll capture points, and it'll decap things, and it'll be annoying. And the fact that it's a caster will basically be irrelevant.
Yeah. Lovely. Sorry, caster fans, DAO is not the one for you, but I hope you found other things in here that you like. And let's give you a bit of a demo of what we like. And let's go and make a 2,000 point DAO army list. So let's go with we're gonna double up on the Harvey style ones here. Let's go with Harvey, your core DAO experience and your meme DAO experience.
Yeah, so I think what we'll start with is a list I kind of built the other day. We were kind of discussing DAO back and forth for some tournament stuff. And one of the things about the tournament play is Scout's very good. So I was trying to find a way of kind of guaranteeing that DAO could get a decent Scout off. So I've got so many DAO lists. I have
a lot of DAO lists.
And screw naming them. Okay, so yeah, so basically the idea is, okay, we've got our spotter squads.
We're going plural?
Yeah, we'll go plural. Doubled, sorry, not plural. So yeah, you got two spotting lasers on them, double them up. Then you take the melee shrouding aura, and you take the piercing thing.
So because it's upgrade one model with one, and we've combined the unit, you can take this upgrade twice for people at home watching this and wondering what wizardry we're doing. Yep. It's one of the beauties of doing a combined unit.
Yep. So you grab that, and then you also grab a Grunt Leader. Boop. And that Grunt Leader, you put Rain Slayer in, and you give him Scout, and you give him a gun as well.
So we need the Leader Pulse pistol here. Are we doing any further upgrades or leaving him at a happy 12 inches?
No, put him up to the full thing.
The 18-inch one?
Yep. And also, yeah, you got him Scout as well. Cool.
Yeah, he's got Scout.
Yeah, so there's... and then also give him a precision spotter as well.
Oh, so we're on for 3 precision spotters. Okay.
Yeah, so this is that big 500 point unit I was talking about before in the review. I think it's pretty good for 500 points. The important things here is Range Slayer plus Piercing means you're AP 4 against tough 3 plus stuff. If you run the numbers on this thing, shooting on a 2-up quality, I think on average you do like 18 wounds, which is a lot of overkill, which is a lot of reliability. Most of the time you point this at a tough 12 thing, the tough 12 thing dies. Because you've got Scout, you can do that pretty freely. If someone's paid a lot of points for a big deadly 6 killer thing, you can point this at it, which is only 500 points, and their big deadly thing will probably be plus 500 points, make a nice trade, and then you start 500 points on the board that they then need to deal with. So very nice, and also not the easiest thing to deal with. We don't get stealth on these guys, which is a shame. It'd be nice if they could get even more auras on top of that, but they can't. So we start off with that. That's our classic master key. This kills literally everything in the game. It's AP2 a million shots against normal stuff, and it's AP4 against everything else. Then from here, as I was saying, we want things that help this unit be good at Scout. So we're going to grab 2 Grunt Leaders. And these 2 Grunt Leaders are just going to have Scout on them. And they're also going to have Precision Spotters. Now, the Precision Spotters Now, the Precision Spotters here, these are flex points. You can put these on whatever you wanted to. But effectively, these guys are 45 points. Spend a turn, not Scout. No, don't have to show your Scout hand, right? So you put this guy down. Your opponent puts down their Scout, you put your next guy down, they put down their Scout, you put your last guy down, they maybe put their 3rd Scout down if they have 3 Scouts. It just lets you play that Scout game a bit more flexibly. It's really hard to get more than 3 Scout units in most lists, because most lists only have 1 Scout option, so 3 will be enough. And if you're going first, then it doesn't matter where they put their 3rd one, because you could just turn and kill it. And if you're going second, well, you have all the information you need to put it wherever you want. So these are really nice for stalling those out. On top of that, like we were saying before, they're still just bodies, right? They just get on the board and get in the way, which is nice. They can capture objectives because they're Scout. They can be a little bit further up the board, and they can find those sneaky line of sights that nothing can see around. Like, is there a rock on the edge of the map? They can sit behind, sit them there. And then they have precision spotters just to do something, right? One of the nice things about spotters is you can use them halfway through your movement. So every turn you can run out of your cover and back in and still get some effect. It's not like shooting where you need to stand out and die. So yeah, there's those guys. Then as mentioned in the review before, security grunts. Yeah, these guys are great. It's really, really solid. You give them the extra protection. You double them up. You give them melee shrouding, and they are very happy. Yeah, so double those up. So I want 2 of those in the army. This is what I was talking about before. So if you were trying to adapt this more to your playstyle, these don't need to be 2 stacks of security grunts. This is more to my playing. Then I have 2 hover transports.
Yeah.
The hover transports have the rending upgrade on the gun, they have melee shrouding, they have stealth.
So twin heavy burst carbines.
Yeah.
And we have 2 of them.
Yes, we have 2 of them.
I'm just pausing for a second, right? This is only 1,510 points. That's terrifying. That is terrifying. The amount of damage output you get through these 3 units here, and the security in hover transports. And as well, just for the damage output you get so reliably because of TV, plus piling on these precision spotters, plus the AP. I was going to say it's a lot of AP1, but your Grunt Leader in bringing the Range Slayer aura, really big eatons for the DAO.
Yeah. And then to top the list off, I've got a heavy stealth suit. So for this list, I went the heavy stealth suit. There's an option of going the tank instead. I gave it evasive flying and the full deadly kit. So points of flex within this army. So you still got 25 points left over. I just put 2 drone pulse guns on the security grunts. So they both got an extra A2 limited to use.
Okay.
It's just points to spend. There's a couple of different places you could flex these points into if you wanted to. You could go flamers if you wanted to, or like a plasma rifle or whatever. But I just gave each one of them just one of them. But yeah. So there's a couple of points of flex in this army. One is obviously the precision spotters on the grunts. They can just be scout. They don't need to have precision spotters on them. That gives you an extra 30 points. If you take away a couple of extra points, you eventually find, if you take away, the 30 points there and the 20 points we've got for the 2 upgrades, we've just put on the security grunts, that's 55 points, which you can now spend on a precision thing instead. A piercing thing instead. So if you wanted to go that route, you could. The piercing spotter is also really good on a hover transport. You wing it up the board, you mark something, the grunts come out, they shoot with AP2 instead of AP1. It's very potent. Gives you a second, very punchy unit. So there are options. It depends whether you want to go more reliable with your shooting with lots of spotters, or if you want to go slightly more punchy with a bit more AP. Basically, salt to taste is what I'm starting to say here. But yeah, I think this is a very kind of rounded, relatively easy to play DAO list, right? There's not too much high stake stuff. You can obviously go more spotters, and then be forced to play a slightly more more weak play style, where you need to position better, you need to identify your opponent's threats and have a bit more understanding of dice and potential outcomes and stuff. Or you can play something like this, which is a little bit more reliable, right? We've got hover transports that can protect our security grunts. Security grunts are high defense. You can play that play style like I was talking about before, where you move your transport up and you protect your grunts behind, and they're now 2-ups because they're in cover, right? You can be a little bit more durable. You can have more of a front line. This is not a traditional sit at the back and don't do anything about the game DAO list. This is have a scout unit that's very, very valuable that hopefully deletes important targets, have a stealth suit that moves up the board, have transports that can move around the board quickly and deploy your damage where it needs to be, and then grunt leaders to do sneaky things like take side objectives.
Yeah,
a big thing about shooting,
stall activations as well.
Yeah, and stall activations as well, which is really useful for transport style, right? Where you do activate, they have to activate that stuff. So when your transports do move up, they're at less threat. A big thing about shooting armies in general is you want to take the middle of the board, because that way you're using both sides of your range. If you're on one side of the board, you're only using half the range you paid for.
We've spoken about that in different videos where we did our top tips about where to put your big things and not putting your knights on the edge of the board.
Yeah, it's exactly like that with shooting as well. So having stuff that can push forwards to take the middle of the board is quite valuable. So having stuff like these shotgunners. But obviously, like I said, if you're in a position
also then
where
reinforce your spotter squad a little bit, and maybe even your heavy stealth, so you do get this kind of castle, this fortress moving up the board together.
Yeah,
turning everything to dust with its guns.
Thing to note about transports as well is you can block line of sights with them, and it doesn't have to be for the unit they're deploying, right? So you can bring your spotter squad out, shoot a unit to death, and if you do that as a late activation of the turn, maybe they don't have their activations to respond to it, you can then bring a transport in front of them, and then they're now protected for the next round, where you then move them out and shoot them again. So think of the transports as kind of like moving line of sight blockers covers, and line of sight blockers for shooting armies is obviously not something you want, but you'd love it if you can choose where they are, right? You don't want to see a board full of blockers, but if you can go I'll block this line of sight, I'll block that charge with this thing, then all of a sudden you get mad value. So
moving terrain is quite the pitch for transports.
Yeah. So and I think this fits a very, very kind of typical layout really for armies. We've got 2 ways of dealing with big tough 12 deadly 2 stuff. One of them, the spotter squad, is actually a flex pick. It does both.
Yeah,
right? It's
exactly.
AP2, a whole load of shots, can kill basically anything in the game like that. Or it can flex into killing highly deadly stuff. The heavy stealth, and because it's scout, you put it where you need it on the board. The heavy stealth suit plays a more traditional kill big boys kind of role. You put it in the middle of the board when you deploy it, you move it forwards, and you control space with it. And then you've got the security grunts just to kill off chaff and other such things. It's a lot of shots. They'll do a lot of things with it. So yeah, all good. And if they get shot back, it's fine.
There's also some aspects of flexibility to prepping into round 2 because you've got a single ambush unit here. So if you're going first and you're against a 7 activation army, you ambush your heavy stealth suit. You drop your spotter squad, wipe out one of theirs. Oh, maybe if it's an 8. So there has to be some sort of calculation to it. But if you're similar-ish on activations, sometimes it's worth ambushing the heavy stealth suit to guarantee your early activation into round 2. Yep. Don't do the mistake I just did in my head then, which is forget that hopefully your spotter squad does one-tap something. But there's that game to play as well.
Yeah, and basically, there shouldn't really be a threat that can... There should be no way your spotter squad dies to the unit it's shooting, because it should really kill the unit it's shooting every single time.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is like very much a... If you play well with the spotter squad, you're going to get rewarded. You're going to get lots of kills with it. Don't be too greedy with it. Don't force kills, right? Your opponent has to move towards you to get on objectives, as long as you can keep it safe. The biggest threat to this list is probably casters. Because casters can move really far and affect units even further than that, right? Most casters have effective 24-inch range. So they're going to come flying up and do that stuff. And I'm not... Does fortified work against spells or shielded work against spells?
No.
That's... Yeah, okay, that's still in the game. And you've got your Death 5 on your spotter squad, and the charge or anything doesn't matter there if they're using spells, and they take away an AP automatically from the security grunt. So it's a little bit vulnerable to that kind of stuff. And obviously there's no way of this specifically killing casters. But once again, all things you can play around. So don't worry about it too much. And all the melee shrouding on the list means that you do pretty well into ambush as well. If they don't have extra movement in ambush, they literally can't charge half the stuff in your army. Which is really annoying for them. And actually, if you look across this list, what is good to be charged? What's easy to be charged? Well, shotgunners inside hover transports are hard to charge because of melee shrouding. The spotter squad's got melee shrouding. The heavy stealth suit's got evasive, def 2, fear 2, right? Like, that's annoying to charge as well. And then the grunt leaders, they're 45 points, mate. If you charge them, then yeah, have your 45 points. Well done.
Yeah, enjoy that one.
Yeah.
Smashing. We're going to round this out with a bit more meme time. Harvey, we're coming back to you again. It's a lot less of me now. What's your meme DAO list? What's this discount custodians list that you're so excited about?
Oh, yes, the discount custodians list. Okay, so obviously there's not a whole load of melee in DAO, right? So we'll start with that. So there's only certain ways you really build it. There's battlesuits, there's the Tide Titan, and then there's battlesuit elites. So we're actually going to have 3 units of battlesuits, all of them with their swords equipped, obviously.
Nice.
We're going to have 2 Tide Titans.
2 Tide Titans.
No upgrades required. They've got their Glocks in their pox, and that's all they need. And then 2 battlesuit elites.
Ooh, okay. On their own?
Yes, on their own, yeah. So to get to 7 activations, you can't put them in things. You run out of points. So you give them their swords, which does give them A8, right? That's not a fuck around thing. And then just because we got a couple of points kicking around, I gave the battlesuit elites stealth. So 15 points, they both get stealth. And I actually gave them both counterattack aura. Because I thought that was a good laugh.
I'm just wondering. Yeah, counterattack aura, keep going.
Yeah. Then we got 3 units of battlesuits. They're all exactly the same, except one of them has a stealth aura just because of leftover points.
Okay.
Yep. And then you've got your 2 Tide Titans. Now, obviously, you can pull some of these stealth auras. You can go for ambush on some of these units if you want to play that kind of play style instead. If you're playing more base APR, then obviously some ambush here would be nice. But yeah, there's... Oh, I see what you're doing here.
I have never thought about the fact that Precision Spotter doesn't specify when shooting.
I actually hadn't realized it either. Scrap all the stealth auras. Apply Precision Spotters to the wounds. Do it now.
Absolutely.
Pull them off. Pull them off. I don't want any stealth auras. I don't want any counterattacks. I don't want any stealth. I want Precision Spotters on everything. Get rid of that shit. Get rid of that shit. Precision Spotters on the 2 battlesuits. We've got it. We've got it. Look at that. Lock it in. Oh, it's almost like it was me. And we got 5 points left over for 2 of them. Oh my God. What do we do with 5 points? Battlesuit loots, surely.
No.
I mean,
oh, is it?
It's a real, yeah. It's a lot of attacks.
It's a lot of attacks.
It's a shame to lose evasion, but it's still A18.
But so it's less of a shame now that we know we can pump this guy to hitting on better results.
Yeah, I mean, bear in mind we only have 5 of these things, right? And they are still 50-50, but yeah. When I said this guy I was lying, I simply hadn't read the rules.
Oh my God.
Look, Dave's about to run fucking DAO in our next we've been talking for months about how to best use this tournament pack, and obviously we've made videos about it. We're like, you need scout, like don't run ambush, like all these like core principles we apply into our lists, and Dave's about to rock up with this shit. You didn't do the second big rending sword.
I know, because I think I want one of them to have a shield.
Nah, fuck that, lad. You don't believe that, do you? That's not the Dave I know. The Dave I know spends 5 points for 8 attacks. You know, he didn't turn down that offer.
Yeah,
if it was my list, both of them got evasion. I'm finding 5 useless points somewhere. But you know, if it was a Dave list, then it's running the rending. So the kind of person to run this list. Who's the kind of person who's run this list? Someone who wants to rock up and have your opponent roll their eyes when you say DAO, and then you pull out your full melee list and look smug. And the other person, the other kind of person who'd run this list is Mikos.
Yes.
Mikos, if you made this far in the video, I expect a video of you tabling Rob running this list, because it's very much your style, I think.
Lots of kaiju sword action and lots of memes. Also, this is just quite inherently a very tanky list, because you've got Def 2 up on loads of things. 2,000 points, right? In Mummified Undead, you can juice it to like 120 points of wounds in your army. Quick maths, this one. I'm not going to stand by my first guess here. We've done really badly. 27 plus 12 is 39, plus 36 is 75. 75 wounds on 2-ups. If I'm wrong, tell me why in the comments. But roughly 70-ish wounds on 2-ups. That's a lot. That is going to take some hitting to get rid of. Everything is tough, so all shit tons of deadly coming against you. But still.
And also it's just kind of fucking rad, isn't it, really?
It is pretty rad.
Having just like robot men with swords and shields, just like fucking jetpacking around the map. And also, finally, I used to have flying, right? It's really hard to, like, obviously they're not fast. If they had faster, then, you know, that'd be juicy. But what does this army struggle against? Def 2.
There's
we
a
got rending, but it struggles a little bit against Def 2. Obviously, the TIE Titan, once you've juiced it up with some precision spotters, is going to hit lots of stuff. And rending, never count rending out. But you do not have dedicated AP stuff.
Do you know what this? Do you know what this army absolutely clocks? Anyone who's brought loads of regeneration.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, they're just absolutely hating their lives.
This army probably rolls over lots of fantasy lists. Right.
Yeah, it really does. There's just fuck all AP in fantasy.
Well, AP1 is pretty great, right? Against most fantasy stuff's Def 3. AP1's great there. Rending, obviously, for spiking stuff, kills a lot of regen over there. Obviously, you can completely outplay this list by just, you know, fucking
killing one of their units,
staying out of range. But also, depending on the deployment, you could literally run at the ball with 2 TIE Titans, plonk them down. They ain't taking them back, and then just form a circle of battle suits around the final objective with 2 battle suits in the middle of it, like the fucking, like whatever it's called, like Leonidas and his 300 Spartans or whatever it is, and just hold back the tide. So
tell you what, if you're like me and you like turning up to an event with fuck all models, this is a pretty good list for you right there. This is what we've got: 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 models. This is damn close to Custodians. I think, did I have 12 models in a recent event? Something like that. So
another option with this as well is if you're one of those players as well who hates having 7 activations, which is fair. You can put the battlesuit elites inside the battlesuits. You can pull some points and give them counterattack auras.
Then it's nice.
Then you've got like then you can do your double moves because you've got less activations in them and stuff like that. So yeah.
Yeah. Big, fun, interesting nonsense. That rounds out our review of the DAO Union, folks. Thank you very much for watching. And if you've made it this far into the video, I'm expecting you to have been paying attention, because I dropped hints throughout this video, other than saying aloud what I wanted to hear. But there was one comment in particular I've got in the video that I want to see down in the comments. That's how you're going to get recognized. If you don't know what that is, put those spectacles on, go back and watch as we're doing our army building, and you might find the comment I want to see down in the comments below. Otherwise, thank you very much for watching. I'm Dave, he's Harvey.
Join the Discord.
Subscribe.
Yeah, all that stuff. Get involved.
We don't think just charge. Bye.